guys, you know what time it is. It's your boy David at the Irish Hotspur, Ireland's #1 Spurs fan, bringing you a roundup of all today's transfer news. And woo! Finally, our action this January. I mean, the rumour mill has been absolutely spinning today. There mustn't be enough trees in the Amazon for them to keep printing these reports today. It's absolutely insane. It is off the chain. We have so much to get through. We have who have we? We have the Diaz deal. We have a bit on Paratici being in Italy, a bit on Conte, a lot of reports coming out about that. We also will be talking about Amrabat. We'll be talking about the latest on the Adama Traore deal, Diego Carlos, Giovanni Lo Celso potential swap deal, Ndombele deal, Dele Alli, Joe Rodon, Jack Clark. So there's an awful lot to get through here today. Of course, we are joined by our co-host Jack Kinnicky and Darius from Paxton Road. Jack, how are you keeping, my man?
Dave, kind of always looking forward to these sort of discussions. It's always nice to break down the players that we're, kind of going after, kind of give, a bit of kind of my sort of kind of knowledge and sort of kind of, thoughts on maybe some of the players we're rumored with. But now I'm kind of joined by, I would say, probably my better version of my own self when it comes to it. And Darius, absolute legend when it comes to breaking down these sort of players, Dave. Maybe not the most glamorous of players, maybe when it comes to people like Traore and Amrabat, but Darius and I will try to make sense of it. It's really nice to be joined by him on this sort of channel, Dave. Really looking forward to it.
No, it is. It's going to be an absolute belter of a stream. And Darius, how are you keeping, my man?
Oh my God, it's been way too long since I've been back on this channel. I've missed it so much, and I have a really good Christmas and really good New Year. So it's glad to see you guys. I'm just happy that we actually have things to talk about now other than Traore. It's actually it's a delight waking up and seeing other news and news out of nowhere and things actually having traction. So I'm excited to see what happens in this next week. I mean, could we see actually more than Adama Traore and a Hugo Lloris contract happen? I thought no, but I mean, after this morning and today, anything can really happen if things can sort of hot up this quickly. So I'm looking forward to it, and I'm really happy to be talking about it with you guys. So let's just get straight into it, man.
No, 100%. But before we do, Darius, we're going to have to fight off that absolute energetic feeling, my man, because we have some of the Harris Army we need to introduce. We have Killian Kenny. Big up, David Harris. Good night, bud. Love the Spurs. I do. Come on, you Spurs. Let's go. Big up, Killian Kenny. Paul Markey says getting totally pissed off with the recruitment team bidding 45 million plus for a second rater. Could have had Alvarez and Bremer for that money. Absolute muppets. No, fair enough, Paul Markey. Absolute fair, my man. Simon McClure says this is absolutely reeks of Diabala, Fernandez, etc. End of the window, looking like they're going all out, only to say, oh, we tried really hard. But yeah, no, 100%, Simon. I fully understand that, my man. And he also says, P.S., if you wanted this deal so bad, why wait so late? And also, just as he's gone on international duty, therefore making any possible deal highly unlikely. No, that is fair. That is fair. Shane O'Neill says, I there on the side of caution with this one, lads. Sounds like more than the board are likely to spend on a player again in the near future, possibly a tactic to put the squeeze on Wolves. Yeah, very well could be. Very, very well could be. Slow Jamrod says, deep down, we know what's going to happen. 100% of not. No, that's absolutely fair. Look, you can't stop me from reporting on it. You'll never stop me from reporting on it, no matter what you say. Cranford says, let's go, you Spurs. Big up, Cranford. William Kelly says, big up, guys. Absolutely love it. Big up, William. Daniel Field is in the house. Hello. Big up. Spaghetti Slayer, another day with no transfers yet again. Neil Hartley says, we all know we will be lucky to sign anyone. Same old Levy. No, 100%. There's definitely that in the air. That's for sure, my man. Moondog says, a very good evening. Big up, Moondog. I hope you are keeping well. Mr. K is in the house. Hi, everyone. Come on, you Spurs. # Harris Army. Big up, Mr. K. I hope you're keeping well, my man. Stefan Blaise is in the house. Matt C is also here. Akash Greywell, Yori Tielemans next signing. Definitely not going to happen, my man. Definitely not going to happen. Dan Clay says, why do we put ourselves through this every January? Evening, Harris Army. Come on, you flat cap army. Big up, Dan. I hope you're keeping well, my man. Ellie's in the house. Big up, Ellie. She says, hi, all you beautiful Harris Army crew. Welcome to the best and more truthful, hard-hitting channel with the one and only David Harris. Woo! Absolutely love that, Ellie. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. Stevie Fraser's in the house. Big up, everyone. Groundhog Day kicking in yet. Look, it's getting closer, that's for sure. 6 days left. Yossi Levy says, until I see them in a Spurs shirt, I don't buy it. Yeah, no, that's fair. That is 100% fair. The Bertie says, big up, Harris Army. Welcome to the window shopping show. where we look at all the possible but never done signings.
Yeah.
That is fair. That is fair. But honestly, it is off the rumour mill is off the train today. I don't know whether journalists are bored or whatever it is, but it is the start of International Week as well, to be fair. So they probably are bored. Peter Simon says, Amrabat, I read, has good stats, good passer, and rarely gives the ball away. Well, look, we'll get into it with the two boys very, very shortly. My man, Para Miguel Escobardo, good evening all. Big up, Para. I hope you're keeping well. We also have Peter Simon, Stefan, maybe he's trouble. I don't know. We'll wait and see. My man Ojam is in the house. Big up, Ojam. We also have Philip Brady. If you can believe anything these days, the doors appears to be there does appear to be a lot of genuine effort to improve the squad. Time will tell if it succeeds. 100%, Philip. I mean, all we can do is wait to the transfer window, my man. Absolutely spot on, and it's all we can do is wait. Dan Coyce is a new channel member. Big up, Dan. I hope to see you on the fan shows, my man, every Monday. Big yourself up, man. We'll take a few more in the house. There's absolutely loads in the house. It's nearly impossible to get through them all. We'll take a few more. Dave Tyson says, evening, people. Big up, Dave, my man. I hope you're keeping well. S. Ahmad is in the house as well. Leon Kidd, ATX7 Gamings, Peter Simons, Derek Hutchinson. We also have Dermot from Tottenham Tantrum Gold as well. Big yourself up. We have Azanorts. I absolutely love that name. We have Francis Imoco.
Big up Azanorts.
Big yourself up. We also have Christopher Inshaw in the building as well. Mary W. Big yourself up, Mary. I hope you're keeping well. Golden Cock as well. Neil G. CCH. James Smith. Adam McFarlane. Yasan Shakur, Tupac's cousin. Clement. Georgie Hill is with us. William Pretty. We also have Michelle Gain. Big yourself up. Charlie Wood is here as well. Theo Shilton, M. Sanford, Henry Draper, and the list goes on and on and on and on. Way too many people in the house. I'm absolutely loving it. 317 in the house already. But I know people are saying, shut up, this Irish lad. We want to hear the news. So just before we do, everyone, make sure you smash that like button on the stream. Make sure you smash that subscribe button on the channel if you are new. For transfer streams every day between now and the end of the window. Watch-alongs and absolutely everything else that me and Jack can muster up to offer. And look, feel free to get your super chats in. We will try our very, very best to get everybody's comments up on screen as best as we can. We know it's tough times out there, but if you want to support the channel, just get your super chat in, and it also means that you skip the queue. We get straight to it, and we'll discuss whatever it is you have to say, and it is a great way to air your thoughts. But look, we will get into it. So make sure if you can smash that like button, that is of utmost importance. That would be brilliant. But before we do get into a bit on the Diaz deal, because we probably will spend a bit of time on that, I do quickly want to ask the two boys a bit about Paratici. And I'm only laughing because if I don't laugh, I'm going to cry, right? But just hear me out on this, lads. Football London have reported Tottenham's managing director of football, Fabio Paratici, is back home in Italy this week during the international break. He has a renowned habit of lining up numerous deals with players' representatives for each position he wants to fill in his squad, so that when the clubs can agree a deal, things can move quickly. That method could come in handy in what is set to be a manic final 6 days of the window. But you know what, lads? What I want to know, at the start of the window, Levy was in the Bahamas reportedly seeking investment, but yet no deals have been done. Is the rumours today and Paratici in Italy set up to do the business a result of this meeting and maybe the fruition of this meeting coming now towards the end of the window? Or is this just another classic case of being on holiday but reported to be on work? And we'll start with you, Jack.
And I'd like to think, Dave, that maybe, Paratici maybe just has all of his deals done. And, it's just, he's just kind of waiting for Levy just to, kind of push the green button on them. Maybe he's given Levy like 7 different sort of signings in each position, and Levy's just pressing the green button, maybe on which one, seems best for him. And so Paratici is just taking maybe a week off. Maybe, I don't know, Dave, the cell phone bill has gotten, a bit too expensive. So he has to go back to Italy in order to kind of situate, that sort of kind of problem that he's having with the cell phone. I don't know, Dave. I personally like to think that he is, still working while maybe over on his way over to Italy. Maybe it's because of a certain maybe deal that's in the works, potentially because he's already done all of his work. Maybe this sort of this sort of month, and he's just given it to Levy to be done. I really don't know how to make sense of it, Dave. All I can say is maybe he's just gone over to the O2 or something like that in Italy to kind of fix the cell phone bill and maybe all the international calls that he's been making, maybe on the Tottenham Hotspur bill. But I'm not really sure, David, what he's exactly doing over there. I'd like to think that he would be kind of negotiating a few deals in Italy, but it seems like all the players that we're rumored with right now, apart from maybe Amrabat, aren't really even in the Serie A. So I don't know, Dave. I can't make sense of it. Also, I would say, though, spectacular time of year to be in Italy.
Yeah, that is very, very true. Darius, what do you make of it, my man?
To be honest, I don't really think that meeting at the start of the transfer window or this sort of vacation or whatever you want to call it has anything to do with what would have happened or what's going to happen in the transfer market. I just think it's probably a lot of whistleblowing stuff and rumors being put out there to sort of make things seem like you said, David, transfers are on the move and stuff is actually going on. To be honest with you, I said to myself personally, just to avoid the stress of worrying and annoying myself throughout this whole month, that I wasn't going to get angry until the 1st of February. And I'm still going to hold myself to that, because as a lot of people did say to me, sort of, Paratici works late. He sort of gets his business done very late. And I was sort of like, is this another cop out? Are we going to allow this to happen until the end of the window again? Because there's a lot of games that I sort of thought about signings being there, and even if they weren't sort of accommodated to the team and acclimatized to Conte's tactics, they still would have maybe had an influence on the game. So hopefully in this next week, it will all just sort of fall into place. Otherwise, there's a big storm coming for a lot of people in that boardroom at Tottenham. So I think we still just have to wait until the 1st of February.
Yeah, 100%. Look, I don't know. I feel like
painful,
crying when I see reports like that. I honestly feel like crying. You can already see it coming. You know, it's always the same with Tottenham. You know, it pisses me off. I mean, it's not the time to be in the Bahamas. It's not the time to be in Italy. It's the time to be at Hotspur Way on the phone, getting deals done across the line. That's what it's time for. I mean, they have all the other part of the season they need, all before this and all after this, and all during the summer. When the season ends, to be going away to the Bahamas, to be going away to Italy, it just does not make sense to me, and I am starting to get very, very scared. That's what I will say. But on the other hand, it could be that, you know, we are serious this time. Levy did go out there and get investment, and that Paratici is set up in Italy to be able to get deals done. So we'll have to wait and see.
First time in my life, Dave, I'll say first time in my life I can honestly say I feel bad for Steve Hitchen, because Fabio Paratici has left on vacation over to Italy, which sounds lovely. You know, Daniel Levy has left, you know, to the Bahamas on a sort of vacation as well, you know, to kind of enjoy and tan, you know, on the boat deck. And then they've left Steve Hitchen there, you know, with no espressos to be made for anybody. So I do feel kind of bad for Steve Hitchen, actually, to a degree.
100%, man. Moondog says we can't even get the Traore deal done. It's a joke. Yeah, look, Moondog, we are going to touch on that. I mean, look, it's another classic case like the Diaz one this evening. We keep handling over 5-10 million. Look, with this Adama one, there's so many different reports on it today. So many different reports on it all transfer window. I mean, it's honestly, like, it makes a lot of Spurs fans bipolar this January transfer window. I mean, you can have a good day, you come home, you sit down, you read all the transfer news, and next thing your mood is absolutely switched. It's absolutely ridiculous. But we will be touching on the Adama one, Moondog. Big yourself up, my man. I really do appreciate the support. A lot of contrast and rumors on that one, though. Jacob Anderson, big yourself up, man. Really appreciate the support. He says Kane and Son are not getting any younger, need to go all in now for top four. If Spurs don't buy now, then when will they? Don't waste the window to win. Do you know what, my man? I will get Jack's quick thoughts on this as well. But do you know what? For me, I fully agree with you. They're not getting any younger. I mean, it could come to a situation in the summer where Real Madrid would be looking for a big striker up front. Will Bayern Munich potentially want to be looking for someone maybe to fill Lewandowski's boots? You know, PSG, will they come in for a Harry Kane? Dortmund will be selling Haaland. Will they have the money? Man City. You know, there's going to be so many clubs looking to get Kane again. And if we don't show any ambition this window, and then as well in the summer, early in the summer, I can see another Kane situation on the horizon. I can even see Son eventually, you know, getting peed off with the situation. Now is the time to do it. Now we have to do it now. I mean, you have to get players in to help this squad to be able to get top four. We have to have different options for the starter lineup, different options to come off the bench. I mean, Conte's quotes, and we'll lead into that in a minute. I seen it as soon as the quotes come out about him being a coach, not a manager. Straight away, I got nightmares of the Pochettino thing, where he was never going to walk straight away. But what happened a bit later on down the line with Pochettino? It all went sour. He didn't want to be there because there was no signs of strength in the squad, and it all lost its momentum. And it's going to happen the same under Conte. Look, we can keep clinging on to that one piece of news where he did say that Tottenham haven't promised me funds. But let's not ignore all the other interviews that he's done before games, after games, and everything else where he keeps saying, I need help. I need players. The squad isn't at the quality we need. There's a big gap between top four. He's telling us he needs help. Let's not ignore all of that. Now is the time to do it, Jacob. But Jack, have you anything you want to say to Jacob?
I think Jacob is bringing up a lot of good points here. I feel like he is completely right, Dave, in the fact that this is a good opportunity to potentially buy in this window in order to actually secure, potentially top four. I feel like this is a really easy opportunity actually to go for top four compared to maybe, let's say, next season when maybe a lot of these teams that are struggling kind of rejuvenate and kind of, fix their squads. You kind of look at it right now with Man United struggling and already having spent a lot of money with the likes of West Ham, with the likes of, Arsenal kind of going, it seems like a bit up and down these days. You would kind of think of this as a great opportunity to get top four instead of them. And then you can build from there. And it seems like Jacob, as always, they're just not going to take advantage of that sort of opportunity. I think that's kind of been the whole case of Levy's tenure, Jacob, is just missed opportunities in investing. It's not like we've asked them to invest ridiculous sums every single window. We've asked them to invest when it seems like the time is right, when it seems like it's that difference between progressing and going backwards, and they have yet to do it. Big up, though, Jacob.
Big up, Jacob, my man. Really appreciate the support, brother, and hopefully you enjoyed our answers. It's all good. Says, get Darius on more often. That we will, my man. Do not worry about that. That we will.
Big fans of his. Don't worry. It's all good. Big fans of his. Don't worry, my man.
No, we will. And you see a lot for between in this new year, us on Paxton on here, and that. Do not worry about that, my man. And Jack Jerome says, made an official, or we'll give this one to Darius. Darius Jerome says, made an official bid for another winger. What the hell are we now, Winger FC? Get that creative midfielder like Conte asked.
You know what? If it was a winger who couldn't score goals, I'd agree with you, Jerome. But Luis Diaz has a very, very good track record of scoring goals. And one thing that we desperately need in this squad is another goal scorer. So I'm all for this. I mean, I know we'll talk about it later on, but this is sort of a player profile that we need. There's not many forwards like Harry Kane, and to be fair with you, you just need somebody who can alleviate that pressure from him and Son, because nobody else is really scoring goals in that team. So I know it's another winger, but it's one that can score goals, and that's a big difference. And if a few go out the window, then it could work out to be a very, very, very shrewd signing. But again, there's nothing sort of happening yet. It's just bids, so it's all hypothetical, but I think it's the right play to go for, to be honest with you.
Now, there you are, Jerome. Big yourself up, my man, and really appreciate the support. Hopefully you enjoyed what Darius had to say. But look, two bits before I ask the boys on Conte, whether they think, if he gets frustrated, will he end up walking or that? But before I ask the two boys on that, I do want to say there's two bits of business that we've been linked with over the January transfer window that will not be happening for Tottenham Hotspur. One is Dusan Vlahovic. He is on his way to Juventus. Look, a lot of us already knew that wasn't going to happen anyway, but it's definitely not happening now. And the other one is Frank Kessie from AC Milan, Kessie, whatever way you want to call him. He will not be joining Tottenham Hotspur either. It is a lot of reports breaking tonight that he has signed a free contract agreement with Barcelona. So I'd say he can blow that one out of the water as well. But Jack, just quickly on your thoughts, because I know everyone is here for the transfer news. When it comes to Conte, a lot of reports circulating over the last couple of days about Conte's he's unhappy with Tottenham, basically. He's showing a bit of discontent. A lot of people picking up on his body language, words and what he's saying and stuff like that. And they are fearing that he might walk if Tottenham don't do the business that he needs this window. What's your thoughts on it? A load of crap, or do you think we have reasons to be concerned?
Here's what I would say, Dave. I could completely see why he would walk. I think everybody would completely understand, like, maybe the reasons for why he would want to walk. I mean, if I was being told, Dave, you're not getting the best out of Harry Winks in a 3-man midfield, I would probably kind of look at myself and be like, what am I really for here? You know, like, are these really the questions I should be being asked? You know, are these the players I should be, you know, working with? If I were Antonio Conte in his shoes, some of the players that I have to work with, some of the ways to try to get around, you know, kind of a Chelsea fixture, the way to kind of get a result with some of the players you have at your disposal, I'd probably, Dave, to be honest, I'd probably quit being a football manager, because that just sounds just honestly just horrendous. It just sounds horrendous. Doesn't sound fun at all to try to make those sort of decisions. So you can see why he wants to leave. The reason why I don't think he'd be leaving, though, Dave, is you feel like he might have already known what he was getting into once he took the job. I think we all knew that he was supposedly rumored with Manchester United. Maybe what he saw with Spurs was more potential for there to be an actual project that he could actually make his own. He could make the club essentially his own. He could make the entire 25-man squad his own sort of players that he could work with. And potentially as well, also the training ground and the kind of aspect that when he comes to Spurs, if he wins anything, he'll be revered as a god. He's already kind of revered as a god as it is. But I do feel like maybe he knew what he was getting into. So that's kind of my reasoning, Dave. I don't think he'll leave because I think he knew he was getting into. Do I understand the kind of rumors about him maybe feeling like he kind of wants to leave? Absolutely. Because, I mean, if I were in his position, honestly, I would kind of dread it, having to make the decisions that sometimes he has to make.
Yeah, absolutely spot on, Jacko. And Darius, same to you. I mean, you know, should we be worried, man?
No, I think it's just bored journalists and bitter rival fans that sort of are on social media whisking up rumors to basically worry Spurs fans, and that's all I can really think about and think of, is because Conte is doing very, very well. Let's not lie. Let's not forget, he's only lost one game in the Premier League since he took over, and we are on a forward trajectory with the same players, which to me is absolutely crazy. So if you give him the players that he deserves and he needs, then the trajectory is only sort of going to go higher. So I just think a lot of people are sort of worried and don't want to see Tottenham with Conte and a few signings, because it could be quite worrying for those clubs who are sort of next to us at the moment. But apart from that, it could get maybe worse in terms of the relationship between Conte and the board, in terms of that side of things after January, if there's no signings made. But even then, like Jack said, January is a tough window, and I think the summer will be a big sort of point to make to Conte if they are going to back him and give him what he deserves. I understand that you can make signings in January and you can get players to improve your squad in January, but there's a lot of good deals to be made in the summer. So I'd rather better players in the summer for better deals and maybe a couple to improve the squad in January than sort of rush just to make signings for the sake of it. I don't really see the point in that, to be honest. So at least
he knew what he was getting into too, right?
Yeah,
sure. He knew, like, there's no, I mean, like you said, it depends on how the summer goes, and then that could be a real indication. But I think he knew what players he was going to have to work with, you know, once he came into the team, and even in the January window.
I think maybe he did overestimate sort of certain individuals that he thought he maybe could have turned around, but there's a lot of players that you can single out as individuals that we all were happy to let leave and maybe not have become staple parts of the team, but are contributing enough and more than certain other players who you'd think would be doing more. For example, like you said, Ben Davies, Harry Winks, these players I didn't expect to be doing so well, but they've sort of showed me that they have a place in the squad, and I'd rather let go sort of Tanguy Ndombele and Celso, who don't really seem like they want to be there, than somebody like a Ben Davies or Harry Winks who definitely wants to be at the club and wants to fight for their place. So, and they've improved since Conte's got here. So I just think it's giving better players and keep the ones that want to be there. And obviously you've got the world-class players that we already have. And there's something that's very, very good that could happen. And I just think that a lot of rival fans and board journalists are kind of worried that Tottenham could actually be in a much better situation than United's and Arsenal's and West Ham's and those sort of clubs. So there's nothing to worry about for me, not until at least the summer.
Yeah. Look, I hope so. I hope so, you know. But look, everybody, we're going to get into it now with the Diaz rumors. There is 560 in the house. Everyone smash that like button. Keep smashing that subscribe button. The big push for 6K is on. And look, like I said before, feel free to get your super chats in. It is a great way to support the channel. And it just means you skip the queue in the chat and we will get straight to it. Don't worry. I know not everybody's in a position. So like I said, I will keep doing my best to get up all of everyone's comments. So that they can all be seen at the very least. But look, let's get into it. We will get into a bit on Diaz. Tottenham are in talks with Porto to sign Luis Diaz and have submitted a bid believed to be in the region of 45 million plus 10 million, 45 million up front with an additional 10 million in performance-related add-ons. However, it is reported that Porto are holding out for a fee of 60 million, with Diaz's release clause set at 8 million. So the release clause is 80 million. If we pay 80 million, we can negotiate with him straight away. Porto can't reject that. But I don't see us paying the 80 million. Hopefully we can get up to the 60 million. Even Fabrizio Romano tweeted on this today saying Tottenham have submitted an official bid for Luis Diaz, as reported by Pedro Veda today. FC Porto have not accepted yet. Tottenham presented the official bid during a direct meeting in Portugal, but the player does dream of playing in the Premier League, but it is not an easy deal to do, apparently. Diaz is a 25-year-old winger from Colombia who has 16 goals and 6 assists in 28 games for the Portuguese side this season. Diaz joined Porto from Colombian side Club Junior in the summer of 2019 and has helped them to a Portuguese title and a Portuguese Cup. Diaz also shone at last summer's Copa America, where he helped Colombia to a third-place finish and finished as the tournament's joint top scorer alongside Lionel Messi with 4 goals. It is worth mentioning, though, earlier this month, Portuguese outlet Bola claimed that Liverpool were willing to offer 70 million with 10 million in add-ons, and Porto are in a financial trouble at the minute. They do need the money for financial fair play purposes. So it is a deal that could happen if we move quick and don't give Liverpool a chance to come in for the guy. But, you know, like I said, it's not just Liverpool. There's a lot of top clubs around Europe circling this guy. We're starting to haggle over 5-10 million. What it is doing, it's giving other teams a chance to be able to come in, and put in a bid. Then it'll drive the price up. And will Tottenham go for it? Probably not. We'll end up pulling out because we don't like getting into bidding wars. But look, Jack, what do you know about this Diaz guy?
What I know about him, Dave, is that he would be kind of that perfect sort of player that we've been talking about, that would be kind of filling that role as like a left winger, maybe behind, Sonny if Sonny's not available, or can also play in a front two as a second striker alongside Harry Kane. There's been a big debate on this channel. I feel like a lot of people have kind of spoken about this, Dave. Do you really sign like a true number 9 to maybe kind of go up top with Harry Kane, or do you maybe sign someone that can play a few different positions, not only just the number 9 position, but can also play as a wide winger or be able to kind of come inside for maybe other sort of positions? I feel like Luis Diaz is this perfect example. He's already absolutely on fire this season. He's kind of seeming to come into his own the last 2 seasons over at Porto, Dave. He seems to primarily play on the left wing, but he does seem to be able to play up top alongside someone, I believe, Taremi, the Iranian international. But what's kind of interesting, Dave, is that although he comes from the Portuguese league, although maybe not a lot of people might not rate that sort of league, the rate at which he is kind of firing so far is actually quite impressive. I think he's averaging close to like 4 shots per 90, which is just plenty as a striker. That's exactly what you want to see in terms of a league like that. But Dave, he's already, I believe, at 14 goals in the league. Carlos Vinicius, the guy that we all thought maybe we'd be missing dearly, his biggest tally in 32 games was 19 goals. So the fact that he's already 19 games in, Dave, in the Portuguese league is already, at 14 goals, 5 behind Vinicius's tally, really shows. So he might double that, Dave. He might, potentially go well over 10 goals above that sort of record, which I think says a lot about the player. He's had some great Champions League kind of performances. I really think he'd be worth the price. 80 million, I don't think he'd probably be worth. I feel like anywhere around that 60 to 65 million kind of range, I think he'd be plenty worth it. And he could actually offer a lot, Dave, because he doesn't have to play just number 9. He can also play as a left winger, as a right winger, maybe when Sonny, isn't available, or if Sonny wants to move over. He can basically be that third goal scorer that we've always been looking for.
No, look, interesting. And look, Jack, thank you very much for them stats. I really do appreciate it. But look, what it comes down to, Darius, actually, quickly, what do you think Diaz can bring to Tottenham that we don't already have?
Goals. As simple as goals. And if you actually I haven't watched a lot of Luis Diaz because I don't really watch a lot of the Portuguese league, as Jack says, but you
I
sort
just
of hear
see him in the
about
Champions League.
Exactly. You hear about players, and then obviously a lot of those clubs get into the Champions League and do pretty well in the Champions League. And he scored an absolutely amazing goal against Man City. And the commentators made it out to be sort of poor defending. And it was sort of poor defending, but the directness of him and the fact that he ran and just completely ran at the players, turned them around, and then managed to put the ball bottom corner was unbelievable. And he's scored some absolutely outstanding goals where sort of his eye for goal is, and the choice of finish as well is very, very high level. And I mean, 14 goals and 4 assists in like you said, 19 games for a winger, regardless of the league. I mean, look at Bruno. He was scoring goals and getting assists for fun out of that league, and he transferred pretty well into the Premier League at around the same age as well. So I don't sort of disregard the Portuguese league for that reason. I just think that if we're looking at him and if he's worth the price, like Jack said, you got to look at what he will bring to the team, as you said, David. And I think goals is the only real thing that we're desperate for from a forward player. That is creativity. I think Son and Kane bring enough of that. Bryan Gil can bring that. It's goals. None of our forwards can really score goals, and just some of the goals he scored are genuinely quite mind blowing. And I just think it would be strikers finishes, and I just think it would be sort of 60 million euros. Yes, it's a lot of money, but I think it would be worth it if you also get in an Adama Traore as well as that, and then you can get a centre back in. I think you could sort of, with the players going out, I think obviously we'll talk about Amrabat and people aren't too sure, but I think you could sort of get through this season without making a big centre back signing, a big centre mid signing, because I think that the money needs to be spent in centre mid. So if you're going to go out for Luis Diaz and spend 45 million in January, then I believe that you spend the big money in the summer on a centre mid. So I'm here for sort of pushing business early and getting somebody who could score goals. And I think he's got the skill set to sort of fit into the Tottenham team and fit into the Premier League very well. And like you said from the quote, his dream is to play in the Premier League. And you've got a manager like Antonio Conte. It shouldn't really be that hard to convince a player like that to come to Spurs. So it's just literally, like you said, pay that extra 5 million euros and he should be really our player as soon as possible.
And maybe just a follow-up question. Kane, Son, Diaz, maybe is he better than Lucas to come in?
I was just going to say this quickly, and then Darius can go. I was going to bounce off of what Darius said, Dave. We kind of been talking about finding whoever can play kind of second fiddle to Harry Kane, whoever, can be that backup. We kind of think about it. We do know basically our best backup number 9, and probably even no matter what sort of backup number 9 we get, it still will be Sonny is maybe the best backup striker, maybe to Harry Kane. Let's say if Harry Kane isn't available, then you can kind of think about it this sort of way, Dave, where maybe what you're really trying to find is sort of a backup or somebody that can play alongside Kane and or Son. So maybe that player can be a backup for Sonny when need be. Maybe that player can be a backup for Harry Kane when he's called upon. And he can even also challenge Lucas's position in that sort of third kind of player up front. I feel like that's what Luis Diaz could do, is that he could basically be that player that could fill in for Sonny really easily on the left wing, can also fill in for Harry Kane up front if need be, and also even challenge for Lucas's position. So I think that's sometimes the value of getting somebody like a Luis Diaz who can play so many different positions, but also score goals, like Darius was saying.
And not only, just even if, like you said, he does sort of displace Lucas Moura from the team straight away, I wouldn't mind having Lucas Moura come off the bench and make an impact in that way. I think he's perfectly fine as a starter at the moment. He's playing really well. Not going to take that away from him. But I think he would have more of an impact on against teams if he was coming off the bench and he had a lot more energy than the opposition. So if Diaz is starting, like you said, the Diaz, Son and Kane trio is pretty sort of outstanding in my opinion. A lot of dynamism. And then you have Lucas Moura to come off the bench, Bergwijn to swap with them, even Bryan Gil, because I believe that Bryan Gil will probably go on loan, but I think he could really fit as that creative centre mid that we are asking for. So if he sort of moves position, then there is space for another winger. So I mean, I'm all here for it. I really am all here for it. I think it would be a good signing. It may be a lot of money, but don't people want us to sort of spend the money? And a guy who can score goals, I mean, 14 goals in 19 games. I think he got 31 goals and assists last season. There's a track record there. I mean, I'm willing to see it. It's a risk. He's 25, but I want to see some money be spent, and he's a good enough player to spend that money. So I'm here for it, man. I'm here for it.
Absolutely love that. Absolutely love that. And William Kelly with the super chat says, he says it's Dybala all over again. And look, Jack, I supposedly what he's saying is that Spurs have been in this position before and not pushed hard enough to bridge the gap in valuation and sign a top-class player. Will it be any different this time round? I presume that's what William Kelly means. Big up, William.
Hard to argue against William Kelly, right, Dave? Because I think what is it? It seems like 60 million. I know Liverpool put in 70 million. I know the release clause is 80 million, but I've heard that 60 million seems to be kind of where they would start negotiating, where that maybe starts to kind of make them kind of lean towards maybe giving them away. But we bid, 5 million beneath that 60 million sort of, kind of asking price, Dave. So that's probably directly similar to the Dybala situation, where Dybala, we didn't want to sign the image rights. We didn't want to sign these extra kind of 5-10 million sort of kind of fees. And it seems to be quite similar with the Luis Diaz case. We know that we can basically come to the negotiating table with 60 million. Instead, we come to the negotiating table with 55 million, which just seems all the more Levy. Couldn't be more picturesque, Levy.
And same to you. I mean, Darius, do you think it'll be any different this time around? I mean, we've seen it time and time again. You've got the Dybala deal. Bruno Fernandes deal is another one. List goes on.
I don't think you can with the manager that we've got at the moment. I think he could. I mean, he definitely could. He definitely could. But it wouldn't be smart for him to do that with the manager that we've got in at the moment. There's a lot of sort of pressure from the media, pressure from I'd say even players, sort of Kane and Lloris coming out and saying that the ambition needs to be matched. And I mean, it would make sense to just sort of, it's £5 million. You don't really want to make that mistake again and sort of have needless heat on you as a manager or as a chairman, because it doesn't make any sense to me. You go and you haven't signed any players. You haven't actually signed any players yet in this window. So you need to make an impact somehow. And I just believe that putting that bid in, putting the extra money in, even if it's in installments. I mean, if Juventus, who have barely got any money, and Barcelona, who have barely got any money, I know situations are different. If they can put in big bids for big players and get them through the door in January, I don't see why an extra €5 million is so difficult to do. So go for it. Just spend it. It shouldn't really be that much of a problem, to be honest.
No, 100%, absolutely spot on. And welcome Jacob Anderson, new channel member. Man, fan show every Monday starting at 9 o'clock. Would love to see you on it. All it is there to do is to give voices to fellow Spurs fans. So please do come and join us, my man. We'd really appreciate it. And so big up, Jacob, and big yourself up. And welcome to the Irish Hotspur community, my man. But look, the last thing I want to know, and look, maybe we'll throw this one at you, Jacko, quickly, is look, I've seen many players come here before, but players that are erratic on the ball, and like Celso, at times a Stevie B, Lucas Moura, not always spot on with their touches, not always spot on with their passes. Is Luis Diaz a player that 9 times out of 10, his control is tight, his passing is crisp, and he can play and maneuver in tight areas? Because that's our biggest problem at Tottenham Hotspur right now.
I would say his clinical kind of touch, Dave. A lot of the goals that you see that he scores, he picks it up and he has to have a brilliant first touch in order to score it. And he does. He actually goes often, Dave, for that kind of touch on the outside of the boot and then kind of just tries to curl it, kind of far post, past the keeper into the side netting. And that kind of relies on, really excellent first touch. And he seems to count on himself in order to do that. I would say, Dave, I think sometimes maybe what hasn't been mentioned about Luis Diaz, the guy is actually truly rapid. I do mean he is truly rapid. When you see him pick up the ball, Dave, he really does know how to be able to kind of just put the ball 10 yards in front of him and just put his head down and just run. He seems to be just as fast running with the ball as he is kind of running without the ball, which I think is kind of says a lot about certain players. You would say certain players can kind of slow down when they're kind of in full stride with the ball, whereas other players seem to be just as fast with the ball running as they are without the ball, almost kind of Eden Hazard kind of esque. I would say Luis Diaz to a degree kind of has that, where the way he does dribble, Dave, he seems to run with a lot of power and a lot of pace, and probably in the same ways that we saw that with Steven Bergwijn and maybe Lucas, I would feel like with Luis Diaz, that the way he runs with power and pace was probably more suited for the Premier League, just because he's a bit of kind of a bigger guy. He seems to also be kind of a bit kind of tenacious in the way that he plays, so he doesn't seem to be kind of too, deterred by physical contact. or things like that. I would say, Dave, his first touch is fine, especially when it comes to clinical situations. His first touch is brilliant. He also has a good clinical finish on him, but also he is really powerful and he is really pacey as well. And I think that must be said.
No, so there you have it, Spurs fans. Absolutely grilled the two boys on this guy. Let me know what you think. You know, is Diaz a player that you do want to sign? Is he a player that maybe you want to pass on and maybe sign elsewhere? Do let us know in the comments. Sebas Wolf 28 with the super chat. Big up, my man. I really do appreciate it. You have no idea how much it really helps. The channel helps me and Jack keep growing, so I really do appreciate it. He says, Kane, Son, Diaz, and Lucas as a number 10 with creativity, or even Kane dropping back and Lucas move up as a number 9 in moments in game. Thoughts? I mean, Jack, Darius, which one of you are chomping at the bit to get at this one?
Darius, what do you feel like? You know, maybe can Lucas play that number 10 for us? That seems like a pretty attacking sort of situation there, but I mean, make sense of it. Honestly, pick up Sebas. Sounds delicious.
It does sound good. I wouldn't mind that if we're sort of chasing games. You know what? If we had Kane, Son, and Diaz up front, I wouldn't mind a trio of Højbjerg, Winks, and Skip. Obviously, without knowledge that we could upgrade in those positions, I think that those three alone would allow enough opportunity and chance creation to sort of have a bit more of a defensive midfield free. And even if you need to if you've got somebody like Adama on that right wing side, if he's able to create space for those players as well, I think there's enough in sort of that front four and Reguilon as well to have a bit of a more defensive midfield three, so you're a bit more solid. Because yes, Lucas can play in that 10 position, but is he going to sort of be a centre mid when needed to be? Because it does seem like when Conte plays 3-5-2, those centre mids get back as much as they get forward. So I would rather see sort of Lucas come on if we were chasing the game and bring off like a Winks for Lucas. I could definitely see that happening. And if not, then just upgrade the centre mid and get somebody who can do a little bit more creatively and from the middle, and it would be a lot easier to sort of play those formations with more attackers.
And look, Sebas Wolf, maybe me quickly. I mean, I'm all for this Diaz guy coming in. It just gives us more options. It gives us more options to start with. It gives us more options off the bench to be able to change a game if our attacking options aren't working out. For me, it would be Kane, Son, Lucas still. But, you know, Diaz coming in, he'll have to fight for his place. But, you know, with Lucas off a bit of form, maybe the last couple of games, maybe the space is there for him to come in straight away. I mean, what was it, 16 goals and 6 assists? You cannot pass that up. You know, for me, bring him in and give him a go. He's a player that Liverpool have been linked with since the summer. So it'll be very, very interesting to see what happens here. But one that could be on its way out, though, I do want to talk about is Gil. I mean, we talk about Kane, Son, Lucas. If Diaz does come in, Diaz and Bergwijn. So we do. It does mean we do have a plethora, like a plethora of options. But you know, if Diaz does come in, it is reported that Tottenham will be looking for a loan move for Bryan Gil, who we only signed this summer. Jack, you know, are you sad? Like, would you like to see Bryan Gil being given more of a chance? Do you think maybe his chances in the cup games, it's been unfair to kind of judge him because some of the players he's played with? And what level would you like to see him maybe loaned out to?
I don't know, Dave. I think what we must first say, maybe a lot of people haven't been exactly fully impressed with Bryan Gil, but I don't think anybody could say they've seen necessarily a bad game from Bryan Gil. I feel like every time, even when he's been a part of some of those most, you know, atrocious performances from this season, I think we all kind of put him as close to our, you know, man of the match sort of player, if not the best player on the field, when some of those bad performances that he's been a part of in the Conference League. He's come off, you know, the bench for Conte and has looked really solid. I am really sad to see him go, Dave. I am worried about him being sent back to Spain because I'm not exactly sure how that really helps him. I feel like you would just send him back to sort of like a relegation sort of kind of side in Spain where he's just given lots of the ball and just being expected to do lots in order to kind of keep the team up, to keep the team firing. If he goes to like a Valencia, if he goes to like a Sevilla, if he goes to like a Barcelona, and let's say he doesn't play very much, I'd be worried about how that really actually helps his sort of development. I think at the end of the day, he'd be better off here, or he'd be better off going to maybe, I feel like, a lower level Premier League team side. If he went to like a Leeds, Dave, I feel like a Leeds United would be a great team for him, because you think about how much he works off of the ball. I feel like all the pressures that he makes, all the times that he kind of does to track back. He seems to be kind of a very energetic player. I feel like going to a Leeds would be a good team for him. I feel like he needs to do a loan move to some other Premier League or Championship side, and not back to Spain. I don't think going back to Spain would help him at all. I'd like to see him stay here, or at least go to another Championship or kind of Premier League level side.
100%. And Darius, why do you think Gil hasn't maybe had the impact that maybe he potentially could have? And again, what level do you think he should be loaned out to?
I'm not too sort of angry at Gil for not getting game time. He wasn't a Conte signing. He was bought when Nuno was in charge. It was a good signing, in my opinion. He's a talented player. It's just, I think with players that age, and especially like him, I actually don't mind where he goes on loan to. Obviously not low level, but if he went back to Spain, I wouldn't mind, because I feel like players like that just need as much game time as possible to develop. And sort of when you get to the 23, 24, if he hasn't bulked out and sort of become the player that you really do expect him to become, then you sort of think, okay, is this actually working out? But I hold so much hope in that player. I think his ability and sort of his creativity and his ability to beat a player is very, very good. Second to none probably in our squad. So I've got time for him. It's just he needs to have as much game time as possible. And Conte's not going to play him in a situation and in a league and a club like us and where we are at the moment. You can't sort of put all your hats on Gil. So send him out on loan, give him as much game time as possible, bulk him out, put him on a crazy diet, and I think he actually can become, like I said, a box-to-box midfielder or a creative midfielder. I think that role is there for him. It's just he needs to obviously learn to play that role, and obviously left wing he's been playing his whole life, and he's just not going to get into the team as a left winger for Tottenham. And even if I've mentioned sort of Gil as a left wing back potentially, I think that could work, but again, you need to be able to defensively hold your own in that position. So it just takes training, and if Conte's got time for him, then he could turn out to be a good player. If Conte doesn't have the time for him, then you sort of should, and this may sound bad, you might have to look at sort of selling him while he still is seen as sort of a wonder kid, and teams like Barcelona would go in for him and spend maybe the same amount you spent on him. But that's only if Conte doesn't play him.
Do you know what? For me, just quickly, I'm not admitting defeat on Gil. I definitely think we will be calling him Gil Messi in the future, and we'll all be singing his name in the stands. I 100% believe in the talent, but if we do get in Diaz and his pathways blocked up to not be able to maybe get some game time, well, then a loan move is the sensible option, rather than just leave him sitting there rotting like Jack was saying. It's a lot better for us and for his development that he goes out and finds first team football somewhere. But to a team, I don't care where it is, basically where he's going to be playing week in, week out. Stefan Bloy says we got Romero through the door. It can happen. No, 100%. It definitely can happen. And I love that, Stefan. Maybe it's going a bit against the grain here. A lot of people say it's all smoke screen, smoke and mirrors. And I look, time and time again, then people have been proven right. But Stefan Blaise, I'm with you, my man. It's always possible. It can definitely happen. We got Romero when a lot of people thought that was smoke and mirrors. So why can't we do this one? Big up, Stefan Blaise. It's good to see you in the building, my man. It's good to have you. Tottenham Tantrum Gold. Big up, Dermot. I hope you're keeping well. He says, Levy, get someone for the love of God. It's a great panel. No, 100%. I couldn't agree more. Look, Dermot, for the likes of you, Daigle, this is going to be a rough few days. I mean, it's been absolutely insane. My only hope at the end of it, I suppose, like every other Spurs fan, is that we actually do get signings in the door. Honestly, just watch your health over the next couple of days, Dermot and Daigle. I know it's going to be tough out there with the rumour mill in overdrive right now. But look, hopefully we can get someone in, Dermot. I mean, we need players badly. We need it badly. You look, when the likes of Sky Sports actually start talking about it, which they've avoided for a long time, it's starting to get serious. And maybe this is what has finally pushed Daniel Levy to maybe start getting some deals done. But Dermot, I don't know if you heard what I was saying at the start of the show about Paratici being in Italy. I don't know whether he's sitting beside the pool, in his tighty whitey speedos, sitting there with a pina colada on holiday, or whether he's up in his office with an espresso working. I'm not 100% sure, but it is reported he's in Italy. So let's see what these next few days bring in. I mean, being a Spurs fan is so tough. It's so stressful, but it's so fun at the same time. And I fucking love it. It's absolutely brilliant. But look, let's keep moving on. That is it on the Diaz deal. That is all the latest surrounding that. Moving on to another player. Now, this is a deal that hinges on Ndombele completing his loan move to PSG. But Safran Amrabat is on Tottenham's list as potential replacement for cover for the remainder of the season, with contacts first taking place on Sunday, and we are believed to have settled on a loan deal with an option to buy for 15 million euros. He is represented by the same agency, ICM Stellar Sports, who represent Gareth Bale, Ben Davies, and Joe Rodon. And his representatives are believed to have been looking for a potential new club for him this month. So this is a deal that can very much happen should Spurs want him, as Spurs have worked with ICM Stellar Sports before, and that is the key link there on this one. And I do reckon this is one you probably will. I honestly flock to the bookies now, put your money on it. I reckon this is one you will see happen. Amrabat is a Dutch-born Morocco international. He was a regular in his first season at Fiorentina, following his switch from Hellas Verona, but has struggled for minutes during this campaign. I believe, started one game with 10 substitute appearances. One potential complication to a deal being completed is that he's also currently away at the African Cup of Nations with Morocco. But like I said, the ICM Stellar Sports links, who represented Gareth Bale, Ben Davies, Joe Rodon, who have all been at Tottenham. Ben Davies and Joe Rodon still are. I mean, it's definitely one you could probably put your money on to happen, I'd say, considering we have worked with them before. But Jack, what do you know about Amrabat? Of course, you did a little player watch on this guy.
I did a little scout report on the guy. I'll be honest, just to preface, Dave, I'm not excited by the signing. I don't think this is a good signing at all. But if it were to happen, let's say it does happen, Dave, the positives I can maybe go into, because I think we can go into why maybe we don't like it. The reasons we don't like it is because he's not sort of that creative midfielder type. He's kind of that more defensive midfielder, sort of a version of a box-to-box. I feel like that'd be a stretch to kind of describe him, but he is kind of a defensive midfielder that could help out Højbjerg and Skip to a degree. And I could see why people don't like that signing, because he's not a creative midfielder. What he does bring, though, Dave, if we were to get him, I think you have to then just kind of suck it up and kind of look at maybe what he could actually offer Spurs. And what he could offer Spurs, Dave, is actually really good ball progression. He actually is a decent ball carrier. I saw from the highlights that he seems to have good ball carrying kind of abilities. Also, just if you look at his kind of not only the seeing eye test, but also look at his stats, he has actually pretty good ball carrying sort of numbers. He's actually very good at dribbling past players and being able to kind of get up the pitch with his own two legs. When you kind of take that into consideration, Dave, would he offer something more? Kind of, does he bring more utility? Does he give kind of more options than maybe someone like a Gio, a Tanguy, or a Dele Alli would? I feel like yes. Does he have the talent of those sort of players? No. Is he really worth even kind of bringing into this team? No. But I feel like what you could say, Dave, is that he does actually offer a bit more kind of utility. He does kind of make the selection sort of situations for Antonio Conte a lot easier than the likes of like a Tanguy, a Dele, or a Gio, because at the end of the day, Tanguy, Dele, and Gio, they're three creative midfielders that Antonio Conte doesn't rate or doesn't seem to want to try to use. So you might as well then just bring in another sort of midfielder, at least, that Antonio Conte might want to use. And that could be Sofian, Amrabat. And that's what I would say, Dave. Really good ball carrier, good ball kind of progressor. Apart from that, nothing else. I don't like the signing, but maybe he would actually be of more use than someone like a Tanguy or a Dele or a Gio. And we have to look at that.
Couple of maybe questions there quickly from the chat, Jack, to maybe put to you. One, is he too slow for the Premier League? And two, is he the Moroccan Dembele?
I couldn't figure out the word for this. He's either the worst or best version, however you want to put it. The best version of a poor man's Moussa Dembele. That's what I would say. He's the best best or worst version, whatever you want to call it, of a poor man's Moussa Dembele, which I think doesn't say a lot. I really don't think it says a lot.
So we have the Moroccan Dembele on his way. Absolutely love that.
And he's a bit too slow for the Premier League. I would say he's a bit too slow for the Premier League. At least the way that he passes the ball, I would say, is a bit too slow for the Premier League. The way he takes on defenders, the way he kind of skins past players, seems like he could take that into the Premier League actually quite well. But his passing ability, I feel like, is a bit too slow for the Premier League.
Interesting. And Darius, is this a player maybe that you'd be happy if Spurs signed, or do you believe it's kind of panic stations and we should be looking elsewhere?
Doesn't, like Jack said, doesn't really give me much enthusiasm. The reason why I actually am sort of for this is because he'll probably do more than Gio and Ndombele have done combined.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, anything more than they're doing is going to help us in our cause. So if it is, like you've said, David, a 6 month with an option to buy, I mean, if he stinks the place out for 6 months, you send him back to Fiorentina. If he has a worldie, you might fall for it and pay 15 million euros. In the grand scheme of things, 15 million euros isn't that drastic if you do end up sort of falling for the 6 months of amazing performances. But even then, I think he will do more than Ndombele. And he's not a better player than Ndombele by far, not, but he will do more, and he looks like he's hungrier, and he looks like he's got a bit more of a fight about him. So I'm struggling to turn my nose up at a deal that includes a centre mid better than the ones that we've got now. So we'll wait and see. If it's a straight up sort of purchase of a player, then I'll be fuming. But an option to buy a loan 6 months, come on. I mean, we're not going to buy Galini. We needed a centre back. We needed a goalkeeper, to have just to cover. I know he's not done great, but we just need a goalkeeper. At the same time, we just need midfielders at the moment. So I'm here for it. Just make sure we don't buy him for more than 15 million if he is good at the end of the summer.
Absolutely interesting. And just maybe quickly, Jack, before we get the real Darius in here, Darius's father, before we get in here and answer his question, Jack, is he better than Skip? Is he better than Winks? Is he better than Højbjerg? Is he a player that can come in and improve the first 11 from the off? Because if not, I do not want him.
Then, David, that you just don't want him. He's not better than Skip. He's not better than Højbjerg. He offers a bit more physique and kind of power in sort of like physical attributes than maybe Winks does. Winks, I would say, is a much better passer than he is. But he's a better ball carrier than Winks is. But I don't know, Dave. I don't even know if he really challenges Winks for a starting position, to be fair.
Interesting. And Shane, give me 1 second. I will get back to that question, my man. But Mark Miller here with the super chat. He says, why would we spend money loaning in a player like this when we could use every extra euro on getting in a player like Diaz? Look, it's a 15 million option to buy. That won't have to be paid until the summer. It's not money that we actually have to spend straight away. It won't have to be paid till the summer. But I agree. I mean, if the 15 million is going to be there in the summer, why can't you find it to be there now? I mean, 15 million in normal terms is like €5 to go down to the shop with for some of these football clubs. So you know what? Just go and find that extra 15 million. I couldn't agree more, Mark. Jack, what would you say to Mark?
Yeah, I would rather just save every penny that we got for someone like Luis Diaz. I hope that someone like an Amrabat sort of loan signing doesn't mean that we don't have money for Diaz. If that were the case, I would be really disappointed. When I think about the cheapness of this sort of signing, if it's a loan with an option to buy, and let's say he has a great season under Antonio Conte, I've seen somebody say that Antonio Conte was looking at this guy when he was at Inter. So maybe there is something that Antonio Conte likes about the player. I'm not sure. But maybe just for a 6 month loan, and let's say he just knocks it out of the park, Dave, then, 15 million might not be actually too bad of a deal. It could be like a Jesse Lingard situation where maybe he has a great 6 months and then we don't even feel like re-signing him. And that could also be fine as well. I'm not sure. In terms
it's kind of like
actual,
a try before you buy situation, Jack.
Yeah, I think it is a try before you buy. And I think we're pretty sure that what we're trying is quite shit. But if it actually ends up being better than that sort of level, then, great. But I think he'd be more useful, Dave, is my kind of point. He'd be more useful than maybe Tanguy or Dele or Gio is to Antonio Conte. And I think sometimes we have to look at it that way.
That's not hard. All you have to do is get yourself on the pitch, and
I think he'd be more. I think he'd be better at that. To be fair to him, actually, than the others. To be fair.
Love it. Well, big up Mark Miller. I really do appreciate the support, man. Just everybody out there, just a massive thank you, because you don't know how much it actually helps the channel. Look, we don't have studios. We all sit here. I'm in the corner of my kitchen with my fridge and microwave beside me, just trying to make the best out of what we got. We are obviously trying to get to a level where maybe you could one day maybe get to a studio and stuff like that. So it is a massive, massive help. So big up Mark Miller. Really do appreciate it. Neil Thomas, new channel member. My man Neil, big yourself up. Hopefully we will see you on Monday at 9:30 for the fan show every single Monday. Neil, do come on and have your say and talk to us, my man. Really appreciate the support. And Paul Markey says he's second rate, a waste of time and money. Darius, what would you say to Paul Markey?
Are we talking about Amrabat here? Because it is a waste of time, to be honest. I mean, my thing is, and I mentioned this on a stream on Paxton, I think centre mid is the most important position that we need to spend money on, either now or in the summer. And I'd rather, like I say, bring in somebody on loan for 6 months to just basically, because if we're going to get rid of Dele, Celso and Ndombele, as it seems like we potentially could, we are going to need a player to come in and fill just gaps for the others. So if it means we go in for a better player in the summer, Ruben Neves, who for me would be ideal for our midfield. If we go and spend the big money on a midfielder who's going to basically solidify that midfield for the next maybe 5-10 years, then cool. I'm not actually that angry about decisions to sort of loan players at this time. But it's just, are we going to go out and make that big midfield signing like we need? Or are we going to sort of dip around the market in a lower market? And it does come down to whether we get into the top four. I think a lot of those decisions are made on whether we get into the top four. So I think we if we aren't going to play Ndombele, we aren't going to play Lo Celso, we aren't going to play Ali, and we're going to rather bench players who have got knocks and injuries. And bringing in Amrabat we're going to need to do it to be able to allow other players to have rests and whatnot. So I think it is needed to be done. I think it is needed to be done so long as we sort of really upgrade our midfield in the summer.
And look, just quickly as well before we move on, we do have a super chat from Jordan Cohen, which we will get to now in 1 second. But maybe to round off the Amrabat, a bit like Shane says here, look, this deal is purely dependent on Ndombele going out. Why do we constantly have to wait for us to get rid of players before we buy in players? Why can't you get in your players and then sell your players? Surely that's a safer way of doing business, no?
Do you think it's because of the mistakes that we've made with these players and it's sort of just continuous mistakes and continuously trying to rectify these mistakes with more mistakes? I mean, I'm not a businessman and I'm not an accountant or anything, but I would find it difficult. I would imagine it's difficult to give another player sort of big wages above 150 to 200k when you already have 3 players on the bench plus 100k, one of them 200k, not doing anything in the team. If they were playing, but they sort of didn't want to be there. For example, like Dusan Vlahovic, who was still scoring goals for Fiorentina, but obviously didn't want to be there. It's a different story. They're contributing, but this is 3 players who are contributing absolutely nothing to our team. So getting rid of all 3 of them probably wouldn't make any difference, but would allow you to then spend 400 grand a week's worth on wages. I just think it's mistakes that we keep on making in the past that are still biting us now. And as soon as we get out of that bad loop, then hopefully, like I said, it might change. But Ndombele was a mistake. Lo Celso was a mistake, and Ali wasn't a mistake. But Ali is now sort of 2-3 years been in the club too long. So, and he's on a big fat wage as well. So it's just constant mistakes and giving average players, very, very big wages. It's not good enough at the moment.
Yeah, no, absolutely spot on. And nothing more to really add to that, to be honest with you. I think you've absolutely nailed it. Daddy would be proud. That's 10 out of 10, Darius. But that Jordan Cohen says, buying Amrabat in 3 years from now, he's the one we're waiting to get off the books. Wanted to send some support to you guys. At the moment, not sure whether to refresh news now every 5 minutes or hide somewhere. Look,
I am doing that.
I'll take the second part. Look, I think we're all on that right now, my man. It's like constantly just refreshing. Honestly, it's absolutely insane. Best thing is turn it off until the morning. Just completely turn it off until the morning.
Yeah.
Transfer mill will probably pick up again around 10 o'clock in the morning. That's when the true news will come out. So, just turn it off until then. And look, my man, Jordan, I really, really do appreciate the support. Honestly, you really don't know how much it helps me and Jack put the time and effort into the content, constantly looking for new things. And with all the stuff that we pay for in the background, you have no idea how much the support helps. So big up Jordan, my man. I really do appreciate that. But Jackie says buying Amrabat, and he reckons 3 years from now, he's the one that we wait to get off the books.
Yeah, I think that would be completely true, to be fair, Jordan. And that's a huge problem because we continue to go through that problem. I think the only positive argument that I think I've tried to slam home tonight, kind of, Jordan, is, we talk about, at the end of the day, you still need bodies there. You still need bodies in the midfield. You need bodies in the squad depth chart in order to kind of, at least have options in the midfield. I feel like Amrabat would be more of a useful sort of body than the likes of Tanguy, Dele, or Gio would to Antonio Conte. We want midfielders that at least would be of use, or at least of some sort of kind of utility to Antonio Conte. I feel like Amrabat would be more of kind of some sort of utility to Conte than a lot of the other midfielders that we have at our club at this time. And so that kind of makes me feel like maybe you do get him on a loan then if, Antonio Conte wants him and he sees some use in him. And maybe then in 3 years, we'll probably, be done with Antonio Conte, might be kind of realizing, why do we have this player? He's actually not really worth it at all. And I completely agree, Jordan. But for right now, he probably is actually of more use than a lot of the other midfielders that we have on our books. And so maybe we do kind of just got to get him in, at least for 6 months, my man, at least for 6 months. But I completely know what you mean when it comes to refreshing the news. Absolutely. Sometimes I'm kind of thinking about what would life be like with Julian Draxler in the side. The next day I'm thinking about what would life be like with Amrabat at our club. I mean, it's just kind of coming a bit ridiculous. Really appreciate the support, Jordan. Like David said, it goes a really, really long way. And as well, it's also just really generous and really kind as well.
Yeah, big up Jordan, my man. I really do appreciate it. And look, we'll move on from maybe Amrabat onto maybe the long-running Adama Traore saga. Just have 2 super chats that we would love to get to. And one is from N. Sanford, 1711, Belotti, Lingard and Traore. I'd be happy, man. What about you? I mean, Darius, what would you say to Sanford? Would you be happy with that?
I'd be very happy with that. I mean, it's a lot of sort of attacking players, but that's sort of a striker that there's not many number 9s that are like that anymore, really. I can only think of sort of your Haalands and Vlahovic, Sasha Kalajdzic is another player like that. Patrick Schick kind of is a number 9 like that who does sort of just basically be a strong body and hold the ball up. Lingard, for me, I would love to see Lingard come to Tottenham. I don't think he'll come now in January, but to sort of confirm that as a signing for the summer would be fantastic. So, and Traore, again, we'll get onto Traore. I'm firmly on the Traore in camp 100%. So again, I'd like to see that. But Mike, again, shout out to Mike, Hotspur Hustler. He's been banging on about a centre back for all January, and
yeah,
I know he's sort of convinced Jack, and he's definitely 100% convinced me now. After this injury with Romero and sort of Dyer as well, we need to get a centre back in. So we
spoke about that, Darius. We kind of realized how right Mike was, and even though
we did, he was so right. I'd rather sacrifice a Belotti or a Lingard or a Traore for a centre back, 100%. Even if it means we don't score as many goals, I just think that if we have injured players, and in any sort of case like what we have now with Dyer and Romero out, I'm very, very scared of our back 3 without them 2 in. So. Yeah, no, a centre back and 2 of those 3 players would be fantastic window for me. I'm not going to lie to you.
Well, look, we will be getting on to a bit about Diego Carlos, and I know a certain Fabrizio Romano put out a tweet today, but just hold your horses. Apparently, they want the Celso, so we will be getting onto that in a minute. Just a little, maybe a teaser, maybe a little strip tease. Maybe I'm not the guy to be doing that, but anyway, Paul Markey says Roy Keane is right. No top class players will join Spurs. We are looking at second-rate players. I mean, who wants this one, lads? Fight for it.
I'll just say this quickly. It's not even that we're looking at second-rate players. We just have to find the top-class players before they actually get found by all the other clubs. It's just about sort of being smart. I mean, if you're not going to do that, then you look smartly in the market for players low on their contracts. There's 2 ways. That's 2 ways I've literally given to sort of find top-class players without having to pay the 80, 90 million. It's not necessarily having to find second-rate players. You just have to be smarter in finding your top class players. Get players who have a low release clause, get players who are going on a free, or find the young ones who are going to turn into the worldies. I don't really think that's... I get what Paul is saying. I do get what he's saying, and the players that we're linked with aren't always the best, but I definitely think there's a way to find top rate players. It's just we can't spend the 80 million. We can't even spend the 30 million and convince players. So you have to sort of, like you said, use Conte as a manager, use the market and maybe just find one within the academy as well. That always could be a thing as well. So there's loads of ways. There is loads of ways to find top class players.
Yeah.
Look at Dortmund. Look at Ajax.
Great answer, Darius. I feel like, are we going to be rumored with household names, Paul? No, we're not going to get those household names, but I kind of agree with what Darius said, and I don't want to take this down some sort of tangent, but the whole idea of like, if you have to Google them, then it's not really worth it. I think it's just, that's all relative. Players that sometimes are rumored with, Darius and I don't have to Google them. So I think that says, it's just kind of all relative at the end of the day. You can get players that maybe not everybody knows about that are just as good as the household names, if not better sometimes. It's just whether they're actually on everybody's radar is up for question. I would even say that Julian Alvarez situation or the Charles de Ketelaere or the Cody Gakpos, the Bruno Guimaraes is a great example. Bruno Guimaraes, if you actually look at the stats, if you actually even watch him play, you would say this is the best midfielder in Europe. But is he a household name like some other midfielders? No. And I think that's what I would probably say, Paul. Are we going to get the household names? Probably not. Can we go better than the second-rate players like Darius was saying? Absolutely.
100%. To Paul Markey, all I'd say to you is keep listening to Roy Keane. He's never wrong, my man. I love him there, Roy Keane.
He's great. He is great.
Everybody's 643 in-house right now. Big applause to every single one of you. Please do smash that like button. It's the thumbs up one. Just click it. It really does help out with the YouTube algorithm. And we are 11 subscribers off. We're reaching 5,600. So if you can smash that subscribe button, help us reach 5.6K subscribers, that would be absolutely awesome. But look, we will move on to the next player, and that is the long-running Adama Traore transfer saga. Spurs have held talks with Wolves over a deal for the winger. Many different reports on this suggesting Spurs made a 15 million bid earlier in the week, but reports coming out today from Alistair Gold said Tottenham have not yet made contact over a deal, and other reports suggesting Spurs have inquired about a loan deal with a view to a permanent move. Whether or not Spurs will be able to strike a deal this month remains to be seen, but Adama Traore seems poised to move to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, with reports coming out of his camp suggesting a deal will be done, with both clubs wanting to do a deal. And in a way, the ball has actually been put back into Levy's court, with reports coming out that Wolves are willing to cash in on their prized asset. I mean, we'll go to Darius on this one first, maybe for a bit of a change. Darius, what is happening with this one? I mean, this is one since the start of the window, it's imminent. Then it's, the Tottenham are 5 million away, 10 million away from the valuation. Again, are we just causing ourselves more problems and headaches in the transfer market and potentially pissing off the selling club? What is going on with this one, man?
That's what I fear could happen, David. It might not, fortunately for our situation with Adama, because his contract is running down. So obviously his value will always decrease the longer they wait to sell him. But it's kind of stupid. I'm not going to lie to you. It feels kind of dumb. Like, you've been linked with this guy well before this window anyway. I mean, we were linked with him summer, even before summer I saw links with him. So you've clearly got this guy on your radar. They've clearly said 20 plus million. You can reach 20 million and give add-ons. We've bid 15 apparently. It just seems so dumb. Why are you wasting time? You literally do this 20 days earlier, and you've got him in for 2 games in the Carabao Cup, a big game at Leicester, which we obviously won, and a big game at Chelsea, which we obviously didn't win in the league. But you bring him in for those games, and obviously it could have been for the North London derby as well. It would have looked I would have been a lot more confident knowing that Traore is one of those players where he doesn't need sort of bedding in time, in my opinion. I think he will always make an impact with his skill set, no matter what the situation and what the game is, just because he'll always be able to beat 1 or 2. So even if he's not a tailor-made right wing back for Antonio Conte off the bat, he'll still be able to have much more of an impact than, I would say, Emerson Royal. And I'm not saying Emerson Royal has been bad, but Traore's skill set allows him to just basically make something from nothing. And if you can do that in a game on 70 minutes for a guy like Traore, I just think that would have helped us in so many games this January. So, again, David, I won't be angry that it happens late on in January. If it happens, I'm on the Adama Traore train. I think he'll be a very, very good addition to our team. But it's just like, why are you wasting 20 days to scuffle over 5-10 million? Not even 10 million. It's literally £5 million. Like, just get the deal done. We knew this. We knew he was linked from ages ago. Get it done. Embed him into the team, and potentially sort of we could have got maybe a point from that Chelsea game with Adama in there. So I'm not going to pretend like it's enraged me and we haven't signed him yet. And even if, you know what, if it fell through completely and we didn't get him, I wouldn't actually be that angry. But it's just the fact that like I've now sort of invested myself in him into the team, and I've sort of seen what he can do to the team, and I've thought to myself that for £20 million, it's not that bad of a deal, to be fair. If you're not going to go and spend the 50 million on Lamptey, then Adama Traore is going to make a difference to the team. So it's just annoying that it's taken 20 days, to be honest with me. I think it's really stupid, to be honest. I can't think of a logical reason as to why you're haggling over £5 million when you were linked with this guy and you were almost willing to pay, 40 million in the summer. It just, it doesn't make sense to me at all. It really doesn't.
Absolutely spot on. And look, Jack, are you fed up with the club, dragging their heels on deals like this? Because this is a deal they could have got done at the start of January. Yeah. And it could have been here to help this month.
Yeah.
Am I tired of the club haggling, Dave? Yes, because it reaches a certain extent where a club of our size is actually haggling over kind of 5 million. When you really think about it, we are not the club of this sort of size or stature that should be kind of haggling over it. And also, I would say was kind of funny. I don't really like to say the whole narrative, Tottenham, when it comes to our transfers, it's very different than everybody else's. But I actually do think it is in the regards of, Dave, when you actually see the reports, it's always Spurs have put in a bid, negotiations ongoing because the bid is not enough, or discussing over the bid, or circling. It has nothing to do with It has nothing to do with Spurs are very interested, bid incoming, sort of rumor. It always has to do with Spurs have sent in a bid that the club does not actually approve of, and the club is not willing to accept. And then that's always the rumor. It's always some sort of bid that we sent in that the club is not willing to accept. And I'm kind of tired of being that sort of kind of rumor. I'm tired of being that sort of club. You see it with the Luis Diaz situation. We're 5 million behind the 60 million evaluation. You see it with Traore. We're 5 million behind the 20 million pound kind of assessment. It's also kind of crazy in the Traore one because they brought him over from Wolves from Middlesbrough for 18 million, and yet we're somehow kind of disgusted by throwing 20 million in. It's not like they're only making 2 million.
You know what? I didn't even know that he went. I thought he went for a lot less than that, and
I think it was for around 18 million. And so you think Wolves paid 18 million for the guy?
You're not even
Wolves paid 18 million, so we won't pay 20.
It's crazy. I didn't know that. Thank you for that information.
No, take it away, Darius, because I actually want to pass that off to you because Wolves paid 18 million for him.
I didn't know that.
But we don't want to pay 20 million for him after he's been in the league so they took a chance on him. I guess what I'm saying, Darius.
Yeah.
Wolves took a chance on him, but we're not willing to take that chance.
And all I was gonna say is just on what you said is just I'm not trying to sort of sound like that person with sort of money is nothing in football, but in the grand scheme of things, 20 million euros for Adama Traore, if you're haggling over that and you're quick to jump and put 45 million euro bid in for Luis Diaz, you sort of you just look stupid. If you can put a 45 million bid in for a left winger, you can't sort of deal with £2 million and Markinday's gone for 500k and sort of other players are potentially going on loan. It makes all the, like you said, David, those clubs of the players who we're trying to buy, just going to look at us and laugh and be like, you're taking the piss. We don't actually need to sell him. He'd actually be a helpful addition to our team if he stays. So you know what? Sod off. I'd rather just not deal with you and maybe make a £5 million loss in the summer. But at least we know we're going to get our money without any sort of issues. So
yeah,
I just think that it's not sort of an issue to sort of deal like this. Cool. If you get the deal through, great. But you have to make sure you do it with the right players. I mean, a player who like Traore, who knows he wants to leave, and all you have to do is, like Jack said, match the price they asked for. They've given you a price. It's not like you're looking for a potential deal. They've given you a price. Just hit that price mark. You put 50 million and put an extra 5 in. It's just not hard. So, if we don't come out with Luis Diaz or Adama Traore because of those reasons, and not because, for example, Juventus came in with the actual money that their team wanted, and he went to the club that he dreamed about going as well. So I'm not mad at Vlahovic for going to his dream club, but Luis Diaz, who dreams of going to the Premier League, you've got a manager like Conte, nobody's bidding for him. Traore, nobody's bidding for him. There's no bidding war going on. You're having a bidding war against yourself, literally. So it's laughable. It's very, very laughable, unfortunately. It is. I don't even want to talk about it, to be honest. I just want it to get done so we can stop talking about this one transfer deal in all January. I'm going crazy, mate. I'm going crazy.
Just quickly, Darius, if we were working for Daniel Levy, I think what would make him more hilarious is he would have us to, he says like, everybody wants Lamptey for 50 million. Find me the next Lamptey that isn't 50 million. And then you and I would say, listen, we found like 3 right backs. They're all around like 15 million pounds. They're can offer you everything Lamptey does, if not a bit more. And then he would say like, find me some for 12 million. He would. It would.
I genuinely think Paratici is probably in that sort of boat. As much as it sounds like a comedy show, what you've just said there, I could actually imagine Paratici with 5 names on his list and saying, look, you don't want to play for 40 million. There's a player who's not as good, but similar for 20 million. And Daniel was like, but now I want to pay 45 million for this player. And it's like, well, I've lined this deal up. It does seem like he is lining these deals up, and it is just the price and the fee that is the issue. So again, when I see all these people get onto Paratici, I understand it. I completely understand it. Some of these signings that he's made in the summer weren't great, but then obviously Conte wasn't here, so I can understand that reason. But it does seem like he is trying to line up deals, and it is just that final fee that we are like waiting on to sort of let these deals go through. I don't know what it is. I mean, we are all in the dark. It could all be rumors at the end of the day, and it all could be a smokescreen. But it just does seem like it's again the same old bullshit that we've seen for how many years now, man. It's getting laughable. It really is.
Spot on. Well, look, we'll move on from the Adama Traore one because that's starting to give everybody a headache. That on long-running saga. And TK, just bear with me. I'm just going to read out the latest on the Ndombele rumor, and then I do have a question lined up, and we'll use your super chat for it, my man. But look, a lot of reports over the last few days saying that Tottenham and PSG have held talks over a loan move for Tanguy Ndombele. Tottenham are hoping to get Draxler, Julian Draxler, or Gini Wijnaldum coming the other way. Ndombele is believed to be keen on a return to France, but it remains to be seen whether a move can be agreed, with both Tottenham and the player likely both to have to make compromises in order to make a deal happen. And PSG are unable so far to offer up viable players in exchange, with Sami Mokbel from the Daily Mail saying today that Draxler and Wijnaldum are open to a move to Tottenham and are willing to join and go the other way. But fresh reports this evening say Everton are interested in a move to sign Tanguy Ndombele on loan. According to Sky Sports' Kaveh Solokal, he believes that the managerless Toffees have joined the race for the midfielder, although he added that PSG remain strong favourites for his signature. Everton haven't even appointed a permanent manager yet, so we think this would be extremely unlikely.
Yeah.
Furthermore, Ndombele surely wouldn't accept moving to a mid-table club like Everton, especially with a potential move to France on the table. And the question I was going to ask off the back of that, so it is interesting to see where Ndombele will go. But TK says, hey boys, would love to see Julian Draxler come in for Tanguy. What's your thoughts? Typical Tottenham, leaving things to the last few days of the window. Come on, you Spurs. And we'll get yours and Darius's on this one, Jack. But who would you prefer? Gini Wijnaldum or Julian Draxler, and why?
I would prefer Gini because I think he would actually bring it. We need more creative midfielders. We need more box-to-box midfielders than pretty much any other position in our entire 11. So I would say you get Gini. Who would I probably rather have? Who do I kind of have more of a liking to? Who have I always kind of liked? I've always been kind of a fan of Julian Draxler, and I kind of want to get Darius's thoughts on maybe a bit of a flat cap Euro moment here. But I do kind of miss when Julian Draxler was kind of a relevant kind of player in kind of world football. I kind of miss when he was somebody that everybody really liked. His days at Schalke, I actually thought he scored some of the best goals I've ever seen in the Bundesliga during his days at Schalke. Had this unbelievable heel chop, I believe, in like the middle of the box box at one stage and then was able to put it away with the left foot. He's scored some ridiculous goals. He could be that kind of number 10/winger in like a 3-4-3 for us. He could kind of do maybe a sort of a role in kind of a center mid, box to box. I'm not really sure if he could do that in the Premier League. I would rather have Genie, Dave, but I've always kind of had a soft spot for Julian Draxler, I would say, TK.
And yourself, now, I was going to, Darius.
I don't know how to feel about Julian Draxler. I used to love him so much, and maybe because he's playing in a PSG team where there are genuinely some of the best players in the world and best up and coming players in the world, he doesn't look as good. He had a good run of form actually recently under Poch, a few months ago maybe, where he was back in the team and really contributing and creating like he was doing. But I don't know how old exactly. I really do want to know how old Julian Draxler is. Bear with me 2 seconds.
27, 28.
That's ridiculous. I thought, he's 28 years old. I thought he was a lot older than
yesterday.
That. Yeah. And Wijnaldum is 32, I believe, maybe a year younger. So in terms of sort of which one I'd prefer, I would probably prefer Gini Wijnaldum just because of the player that he is and the player that I know him to be. I think he probably still has an engine on him, and I think he could probably have an engine on him and play the way he played for maybe another 2 years. And let's not forget, like, Gini Wijnaldum, in my opinion, and again, this is my opinion, but Gini Wijnaldum is one of the best sort of goal-scoring centre midfielders I've seen recently. I mean, when he plays for the Netherlands and he's allowed to get forward into the box, that guy can score as many goals as he wants to. His record for the Netherlands is ridiculous. So, and as the captain of the Netherlands and sort of leading that team in the Euros, he was really, really good. So in terms of somebody who, again, played for Liverpool, won the league, won the Champions League, was integral in that team that really did go on and dominate sort of the league for that season. I think it would be essential to have him in the Tottenham squad. And even if he didn't start every game, you'd start Gini and bring him off and bring on sort of a Skip or Højbjerg. You bring on Gini for a Winks or a Højbjerg. There's no drop off in quality. There's probably an upgrade in quality. So, I mean, Gini for a year or two, I'd be very happy with. And just on Tanguy, I think it's PSG or bust. And I think if Tanguy doesn't go to PSG, I don't think we make any signings, or I think we'll probably make Traore and that's it. So this transfer deal is so important. It goes through. The only club that I could ever imagine paying his wages and needing him is PSG. And the fact that they actually have came in and actually are willing to sort of... Fabrizio Romano says the only issue is sort of minor details and the fact that PSG want to add a buy option. I know for a fact they'll pay his wage. So I don't think sort of the wages is an issue. I don't think PSG mind paying 200k a week. Give him the buy option, even if it's like 25 million. He does absolutely nothing for our squad. Sell him and make sure you get as much as you can. And just having those wages off the books will be able to let us... It's so obvious now that he is sort of holding us back from making any dealings. So even if we get Draxler just to get rid of Ndombele, I know Draxler's on a big wage, but if we get him on loan just to get rid of Ndombele, I'll be over the moon.
To be fair, another creative midfielder instead.
It will still be somebody who can contribute, and it's more than, like you said, he'll be on the pitch more than Ndombele, which is enough of a contribution for me. So, on this transfer dealing specifically, it's just basically say yes to whatever deal they want just to get Tanguy out the door, so we can actually make a bit of progression in our market, because I don't think we're going to make any signings if he's still there.
Yeah, no, look, like I was saying earlier on, the Amrabat deal and maybe not the Traore, but definitely the Amrabat deal fully hinges.
You'd say the Diaz deal as well, sorry to interrupt. You definitely think that Diaz deal has a lot to ride on Ndombele's wage as well?
The Diaz one, I don't think so. No, I think I think it's just more like the midfield one. Look, there is different parts of the puzzle. Diaz comes in, Gil will go out alone, in my opinion. If Gil doesn't go out alone, potentially Ajax could come in for Bergwijn. We could let that one happen. But in order to get midfielders in, it definitely hinges on us getting out a Tanguy and Ndombele 100%. For me, on this one, TK, look, I would prefer Gini Wijnaldum. I think he's probably what we need. And the reason why I also say Wijnaldum and not Draxler is because if we get in Diaz, correct me if I'm wrong, is Draxler not a forward sort of player, Jack?
He's kind of like a number 10. Yeah, Darius can answer.
Where does he play? No, I was going to ask you, Jack. Where do you really think he plays? Because that's a really good question.
He's turned into a bunch of positions. Like
Yeah.
at one stage at Schalke, Dave, he was kind of playing as like a left winger for them at one stage. And then, at Schalke, he moved to kind of a number 10 behind the striker. Over at Wolfsburg, when he was over at Wolfsburg, when actually playing quite well for them, he played as kind of a number 10 behind the striker. Then he goes over to PSG, Dave, and they can't really find a position for him at all. Sometimes I've seen him play as a center mid, as kind of the furthest forward kind of center mid. Sometimes I've seen him play left wing. Sometimes I've seen him play number 10. He basically can play number 10 really well behind the striker. He can also play as kind of like a sort of a midfielder in a midfield 3. I would never put him in a midfield 2 ever.
No.
But he could be kind of like he could be a version of a creative midfielder, actually, to be fair, Dave.
Yeah. Do you know what?
He just doesn't feel like that. He feels like a good jigsaw piece puzzle, but not the right jigsaw piece puzzle for this puzzle.
Point, yeah.
I will say I'm really biased though, because I used to love Julian Draxler. I actually used to love him, and I kind of I got kind of heartbroken when he went to PSG because his career ever since kind of fell off.
Yeah, no, look, Wijnaldum, I think, is a better piece of the puzzle. I really like puzzle.
I agree.
I really like what I've seen from him at Newcastle and from at Liverpool. So look, it'll be very interesting to see what happens there. Kavkov Gaming says, sell to an oil company or you'll always be Spursy. I presume this is some sort of Chelsea or Arsenal fan or something like that. Or maybe it's a guy that maybe does like Spurs. Do you know what? Look, if an offer came in, I'd ask the owners to sell the club 100%. You can't be scared always of the what if to roll the dice. But I mean, wait and see what offers come in.
To a worldwide shipping company and Amazon, and we won't be a Spurs. He doesn't have to be an oil company, my man. It doesn't have to be. We'll keep our options open.
Can keep the bold owner trend, can't we? Just read it.
Paul Markey says, point proven, Traore second rate, headless chicken. No, look, fair enough, Paul Markey. I do see where people are coming from. But when it comes to Adama Traore, go back and look at the stats of the season he had when he was when Raul Jimenez wasn't injured.
Yeah.
He had a lot better of an output. Last season is an unfair one to measure it off because Wolves didn't have a proper striker. They had that young 18-year-old Fabio Silva or something up front. He's only a young guy. So it's not really a fair one to measure it off. And even this season, I would say as well, because Raul Jimenez hasn't even been back to his best form either. Yeah. So look, I would say just be patient. This Adama Traore one isn't as headless as it looks.
Yeah.
There's other things you have to take into account. Like I said, with the Raul Jimenez being out injured, who was the man that put away everything for Wolves. Paul.
And in terms of headless chickens, I would say first rate, not even second rate. If you're buying a headless chicken, the best headless chicken on the market, actually, to be fair.
Kuva99 says, we can still grab Andy Carroll to hold us until the summer and push for a Jordan Ayew. And damn Sam Allardyce might be able to get a tune out of him. Harry, so what you said, Kuva?
I mean, I would rather you go and get, like, who's better than Andy Carroll? Big shit house. Go get me Ricky Lambert and we can start talking. Even maybe a Charlie Austin, and then we can start talking. I like. You know what, Kuva? There may be. You think there's a subtle hint of sarcasm in that comment, but you know what? Andy Carroll for 6 months. I'm not actually against that, to be honest. He'd probably rough up a few players. He'd probably give a few players a hard time. Imagine you had Traore bombing down the right to whip a ball in for Andy Carroll. That seems like a surefire goal to me. So. I mean,
bicycle kicks for Andy
might
Carroll
be onto something. He might be onto something here. You know, you never know.
Yeah.
Big up.
That sounds like a Sam Allardyce front three right there. Honestly, that sounds beautiful. That front three for Sam Allardyce. I feel like Sam Allardyce would get a tune out of that front three. Actually, to be fair, Kuva. So if it ever comes to that, honestly, you could see us challenging for top 6 with that front three with Sam Allardyce right there. Honestly, he probably loves Jordan Ayew.
I hate that guy. I hate Jordan Ayew so much. I don't know why he's just one of them players. Every time I see his name or look at him,
he looks useless.
He just makes me angry. I don't know why. But big up, Kuva, man. I really do appreciate the support. And everybody, please do get over and check out a wonderful channel called Tottenham Tantrum Gold. Dermot, Kuva, Phil, they're absolutely unbelievable. So do get over and check that out if you do have time, guys. But big up there, Kuva, my man. I really do appreciate it. Selection, love the name. If it was a couple of months ago, I'd be calling them Selection Box. I do love a good old Selection Box for Christmas. He says, still think Luis Diaz is bound for Liverpool unless you pay the 67 million release clause. Liverpool have been in for him for a while. No, 100%. Look, Liverpool have been linked with this guy since the summer. It was reported, like I was saying earlier, from the Portuguese outlet Bola, Bola, I think it's called, that Liverpool were looking to do a deal for him this January transfer window, but it's been very quiet on that sort of front. But what I will say is, call the Irish Hotspur your new transfer source, ITK Tier 2. That's what I say, because I did actually bring up a report 2 weeks ago. It was myself, Jack, and Sean, where this, or was it Matty Hayes? I can't remember. I actually found a report where it was actually rumored that Spurs had actually put in a bid as well earlier on in January, and that was from a local Portuguese newspaper and a local Portuguese news outlet. So maybe you could say the Irish Hotspurs ahead of time. And I also told people that Vlahovic would go to Juventus and not Arsenal. But look, I agree. For me, you just need to stump up the money to stop any chance of Liverpool having a chance to come in and take him off our hands. We have to act quick. But this is a massive part of the problem at Tottenham. We lose out on players because we don't act quick enough. We sit there, we haggle over 5 million, 10 million, who's getting what half of the pizza. It's absolutely ridiculous, carry on. Just get the deal done. We're in a position right now where we need players. We're in a rebuild. We have a world-class manager who's getting unhappy and pissed off. Right now, it's not the time to be haggling. Go and get the players you need in to be able to compete and help guide this situation to top 4. But big up Selection, my man. I really do appreciate the support, brother. I really do appreciate it. Brandon SC says, whereabouts in England are you from, Darius, mate?
I'm currently living in Sheffield, but I'm originally from Nottingham. So I don't know if you can tell by the accent, but there's normally not an accent from people from Nottingham. So if you can tell from the accent, I give you a round of applause for that. I give you a round of applause for that. But yeah, from Nottingham, mate. Thank you.
Big up, Brandon. Big up, my man. And this super chat from my TK. But guys, we have a couple just a small bit more news to get through when it comes to Dele Alli, Rodon, Clark. They'll be quick ones. And then we'll be talking a small bit on maybe Celso and Diego Carlos, a potential swap deal going on there. TK says, Draxler on 126k a week. Genie's on 165k a week. Don't think we will pay 165k for a 32-year-old. We need creativity. Good luck with your channel. Do you
not think he offers, even if he doesn't offer creativity, he does offer a goal threat? And again, you need goals from every position possible, especially Tottenham, where we only have 2 players that can score goals. I think that even if he didn't offer sort of the creativity that we want, maybe like an Odegaard, a Bruno Fernandes, sort of that sort of typical number 10, he does score a lot of goals and gets into the right position. So, I mean, I'm here for it. I'll be here, even if it's for a year or 2. I think Wijnaldum would contribute quite a lot to the team.
And what I will say is if they're paying for Ndombele's wages, it frees up 200k straight away. So we would be able to afford one of them wage-wise, in my opinion. But look, as well, I don't know why at Tottenham Hotspur we shy away from some of the older guys, because to be honest with you, some of them are winners. Some of them still know what it takes to play at the top level. They know what it takes to win. They bring that experience. Maybe I could maybe help with some of that naivety that we seem to have at Tottenham Hotspur. We shouldn't be afraid to go for these guys. You look at James Milner for Liverpool. They signed a guy when he was, 32, 33? He's still turning in performances. He still gets out there, gives them a very good performance, helps the youngsters, and they know the games he's brought on to help Liverpool get over the line because he's been there, he's done it, and he knows what it takes, DK. So there's no reason why we should be afraid of getting in someone like that, my man. Let me know what your thoughts are, but I appreciate the best wishes on the channel, my man. I really do. Everyone else, if you have any more questions for the panel, anything you want us to discuss, get your thoughts in, feel free to get them in the super chat. It is a massive help towards myself and Jack. Keep smashing that like button on the stream, guys, and keep smashing that subscribe button. We have reached 5.6k. Let's get to 5.7k next. But really do appreciate all the support today. Everybody is absolutely incredible. It is insane. But look, we do have to let Darius go. He is a busy man. Me and Jack will take the few last bits of news, and everybody stick with us. It will not take us long to get through. But Darius, before we let you go, it's customary for your time. We let you plug your channel, so tell people where they can find you.
You know what? As much as I do want to plug the channel, I just want to say I forgot how much fun I had on this channel, and I am so sorry, you guys and David and Jack, for leaving it so late. It's been such a long time since I've been on it, and I will make sure that I'm on this channel a lot more often, because every time we have a conversation, it's honestly so much fun. I thank you guys so much for basically updating me on all the transfer news as well, and just having a good conversation and being able to talk. You know, and obviously the Harris Army just always coming in with just good knowledge and good facts. It's just great fun. So Paxton Road is a channel you can see me at, but I really just want to be on this channel as much as possible, because it is always a blast. And honestly, these guys are the top guys for Tottenham. Anything Tottenham related content wise, please go to these guys, because it is a pleasure to be on the channel and watch it when I'm not on it as well. So thank you so much for all the content. And honestly, I will be a part of this a lot more. 2022 will be Paxton and Irish Hotspur every single day if I fucking could, you know, honestly. If I could.
Take over 100%. But guys, he is doing his own channel at this service. Please do get over there and check it out. Some wonderful characters, wonderful people on it. You know, and they always do some great shows as well. Absolutely brilliant. And to be fair, we always have a great laugh when we go on the channel.
Every time.
We really do enjoy it. So everybody, please do get over there and smash that subscribe button. I always encourage everybody, you know, to always help the Spurs content creators where you can, whether it's subscribing, liking their streams, even if you don't watch it or you don't have time to watch it. That subscribe, that like on the stream is absolutely.
You honestly don't need Sky Sports with channels like you guys though, and obviously Matty and Flatcap. It's just you don't need that subscription to pay every week and every month. Like, you've got all the content you need and all the information you could possibly need from these guys. So David is right in what he's saying. Don't actually have to watch all these big channels. We will provide you with everything you need to know as Tottenham fans. So thank you guys for that. Long may it continue, man. Long may it continue. Thank you so much. I'll be watching in the comment section. So big up. I'll see you guys later.
No, big up. Big yourself up. Absolute legend there, Darius, guys. A massive thank you to Darius for his time this evening. Like we said, Paxton Road, please do get over there and check it out. Jordan Cohen says Weston McKennie 2022 Wijnaldum, but with the USA dollars also, maybe not this window, but should surely get him next one. Just quickly on this, what I do know is that Juve are not willing to sell him this window whatsoever. If we do a deal, it will more than likely be the summer. Jack?
Yeah, that was kind of my always thoughts with McKennie, Jordan, is even last summer when we were rumored with him, I kind of thought it was a bit crazy because he just moved from Ajax. I don't really like to think about, even if, let's say, the transfer has gone horrible, even let's say Juve don't really want him anymore. You kind of think about it, it's like, well, they just paid the fee. It'd be like us, where if we next season all of a sudden we're saying we didn't want Romero anymore, it wouldn't really make a lot of sense because we had just paid that 55 million or 50 million for the guy. So it feels like, you know, getting him for 30 million or whatever, it doesn't really make a lot of sense just because they already paid the big fee to bring him in. It felt that way always with McKennie. I never really bought into the rumors that we were getting McKennie just for that reason, because they literally did just buy the guy. I think he'd be a great signing. I mean, like you say, not only for what he brings as a box-to-box sort of midfielder, but also what he can bring in, kind of like Sonny, where all of that kind of American sort of kind of kit, you know, kind of purchases and all the American fans that might all of a sudden become Spurs fans when McKennie becomes a Spur. You know, you might think that all of a sudden we get a huge American kind of influx. Which will always kind of be good, at least for Daniel Levy's sake. It'd be good. I wouldn't know about the general population, but at least be good for Daniel Levy in terms of sales. But I'm kind of with you. I feel like McKennie would be a great choice. Wijnaldum I'd be actually fine with. I think David brought a good argument about why we shouldn't really turn our nose at like 32-year-olds and 31-year-olds. I mean, other bigger clubs don't seem to do it. Chelsea got Thiago Silva. Liverpool got, James Milner. So it doesn't seem that crazy. McKennie I would love. But I've kind of never bought into the rumors or really, really thought that it was ever possible because he just moved there at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, absolutely spot on. And look, you make a good point about the American dollars as well. I mean, it's definitely a good market they can tap into. There is a lot of American fans out there, and we've had it before with what's his name, Brad Friedel, and what was that outfield player, Clint Dempsey. You know, so we've had it before. You know, Casey Keller was another American. So I mean, you know, it's definitely one that they can tap into. And Weston McKennie is one that I know. Paratici, he really likes him, and he is trying to get a deal for him, but he's been told no way is it happening this January. But Jordan, sorry to put a downer on that one, but Weston McKennie, it probably will be the summer, like you're saying, my man. But beat yourself up, Jordan, and I really do appreciate the support. Maybe 2 quick bits of news, Jack, that we can just get out of the way with quickly. The first one is just a report on Joe Rodon. Now, this is a report from a local newspaper from Leeds, and it says that Leeds United have been given a boost in their chances to sign Tottenham defender Joe Rodon, as it has been revealed that Antonio Conte is keen on selling the player. The centre-back is typically an area that Leeds look well covered in, but long-term setbacks to key players have left Leeds stretched thin this season. Now, this is one that could have legs to it. With it being reported at the start of the window that Rodon wanted to go and Spurs are willing to listen to offers, but it does depend on whether Spurs can bring in another centre-back, in my opinion. I don't think we're going to leave ourselves that stretch because we've seen what 1 or 2 injuries can really do there. So I do think this one probably does depend on us bringing in someone else. But and just quickly as well, I can't really see Spurs letting Rodon and Tanganga go. Of course, Tanganga, you know, rumoured to maybe AC Milan interested, but I don't see Tottenham doing any deal there, not being able to get a deal for Kessie over the line. So maybe Tanganga stays and Rodon goes, but who knows? And so that's probably the latest on the Joe Rodon situation. But just quickly, Jack, you know, is Leeds a good club for Rodon, do you think?
No, to be honest, Dave, I feel like Leeds, they play kind of a certain way where you need to be kind of a very good technically gifted kind of sort of defender. You can't be, you know, kind of a bit lacking on the ball. Like you can't just be a no nonsense defender at Leeds. We know the way they try to play, Dave. They try to play that very progressive sort of style. They try to dominate the ball. They try to win the ball high up the pitch. It leads a lot of pressure. Leads the way they play kind of puts a lot of pressure on the center backs to not make mistakes with the ball at their feet, but also defensively. I feel like that doesn't really suit Joe Rodon. I mean, maybe it'd be a quick learning experience for him, Dave, where he would have to kind of sink or swim kind of situation, but I don't feel like it's the right move for him just because I feel like with a team like Leeds, you have to really, you know, kind of step up to the mark when it comes to kind of the ball sort of kind of progression, when it comes to the sort of technical ability you need to play in that sort of team. Not to say there are a bunch of wizards in that team, but a lot of them do have a pretty good first touch, and a lot of them do actually know how to be able to kind of keep possession with kind of very quick one-touch passing. Can Joe Rodon really do that? I'm not sure. And also you do need a bit of pace to play in that kind of back four. I don't know, Dave. It just seems like not a lot of things that really suit Joe Rodon. I would probably say a team like Burnley, a team like Brentford, a team like Watford, a team like West Brom. I'm not sure, Dave, you know, teams in the championship would all suit kind of Joe Rodon. I'm not sure about Leeds, though. I feel like Marcelo Bielsa and Joe Rodon don't really mix.
Yeah, do you know what? I'd agree with that. I'm not sure Leeds is probably the right place for him, to be honest with you. For me, do you know what? I don't even think a Premier League move. I just don't see what Premier League club he goes to where he actually plays. He's 24. He said it himself he wants to leave, but he wants to go out and find game time. So for me, I think he could be looking at maybe top end of the championship, to be honest with you. But that's it on Joe Rodon. Another youngster, well, this guy is a youngster, Joe Rodon isn't, he's 24. But it's Jack Clark. He's one player heading out with Spurs who is in the final stages of actually completing a loan move to Sunderland until the end of the next season, where he will join up with ex-Spurs academy product, Dennis Sirkin. So, look, Jack Clark, one that I think we paid 20 million for. I think it was 20 million euros, 15 million pounds, something like that. Never worked out for it's never worked out. He was a player that came in with a lot of promise, a lot of hype about him, just hasn't worked out. Jack, you know, if you can't sell him, obviously loan him out. But, you know, is this one, do you think this guy's a Tottenham future, or should we just be looking to cash in on him this summer?
I think we should always be looking to cash in, Dave. I mean, he's the exact same age as Bryan Gil, I believe. I think they're the exact same age, if I'm not mistaken. One of them, Dave, when we brought them in, he has never made any sort of attempt or any sort of inkling of a breakthrough in the first team with Jack Clark. He's never even gotten close to, trying to challenge to be consistently in that first team or even to be in the squad, in general, in the 25-man squad. He's even kind of struggled to kind of break into, you feel like, Dave. Whereas Bryan Gil has gotten right into it. He's made, debuts. He's made sort of, kind of cameos and appearances. I know a lot of people haven't been kind of satisfied with how little Bryan Gil has played, but you do kind of think about it. He's the exact same age as Jack Clark. When you do think about the fee that we, paid for him as well, really isn't that too much of a difference because we paid $15 million for Jack Clark at the end of the day, when he was also a lot younger than Bryan Gil. So I don't know, Dave. It feels like he has no future with Spurs. If Bryan Gil has, a future in doubt for Spurs, I would say Jack Clark certainly doesn't have a future with Spurs.
Yeah, no, 100%. Look, for me, I think it's just loan him out, get him out there. Hopefully put him in the window for potential buyers for the summer transfer window. I think that's what's going on there. But look, best of luck to Jack Clark. Before last two rumours, one is Dele Alli, the next one is Giovanni Lo Celso and Diego Carlos. But we'll start with Dele Alli. Dele continues to be linked with a move away in the final days of the January transfer window. He was one of the first team players who was nowhere to be seen for Sunday's trip to Chelsea at the weekend, along with Giovanni Lo Celso as well and Ndombele. So kind of tells you everything you needed to know coming into the transfer window. And is rumoured to have already said his goodbyes to staff at the Tottenham Hotspur stadium training complex. It is remained to be seen where he goes, but Borussia Dortmund, Everton, Brighton, Southampton, and Newcastle have all been mentioned as potential destinations. Jack, do you think Dele is leaving this January? And what is, what's the best club for him? And, should we be only loaning him out if it's a loan to buy option?
I think you just try to get him out of the dressing room as soon as possible, Dave. I know maybe we want to try to, cut our hands, we want to wipe our hands clean of Dele Alli. I totally get that, Dave. But I think you just get him out of the dressing room as soon as possible. He just doesn't seem to be a good influence in that dressing room, as well as Tanguy doesn't seem to be a good influence in that dressing room. What sort of move makes most sense for him, Dave? I feel like some sort of lower Premier League side makes sense of him. Him going to like a Dortmund or something like that, I feel like that doesn't work because let's say they just don't like him the moment he gets there. Let's say he doesn't, kind of impress the manager. He'll just kind of sit there on their bench in their books and they'll just kind of, look to get rid of him. I think he needs to go to a team, Dave, where he's expected to make an impact right away. And then that puts the pressure on Dele Alli to perform and, kind of prove everybody wrong. But it also puts the pressure on kind of the club to, make Dele Alli play well because then they're going to build the team around him and whatnot. I don't think you send him to a team where he doesn't have the, the system kind of built around him because then he probably will continue to play the same way he has for me personally, Dave. I feel like he is headed out this January. Like you said, there are a lot of rumors that supposedly he was saying goodbye to the backroom staff. He was saying goodbye to a lot of the trainers, a lot of the kit men, the medical staff and everything. So I think that just also says a lot. I feel like he is living this January. I feel like the best sort of club for him, though, would be kind of like an Everton or a Newcastle or a Watford or a Norwich or I'm not sure, Dave, but some sort of lower level Premier League side.
No, look, for me, I'll be honest with you. I actually couldn't give a shit where he goes, to be honest with you. I just want him gone. I mean, honestly, this is a guy that's been on TikTok while we're getting slapped by Chelsea. You know what I mean? Well, should he not be sitting there questioning why was my team getting slapped by Chelsea when I've gone there and I've scored 2 goals to be able to win us a game? You know what I mean? I've been there, I've done it. Why am I out there helping this team? But I'm going to be sitting here on TikTok. He's an absolute rat. He's look, thank you for what you've done, but I cannot condone your behavior over the last 3.5 years. You're a rat and get out of my club. I can't have it. Not when we're losing to Chelsea and he's sitting there on TikTok. I'm not here for that. I want born winners. I want players that want to be out there. So I'll be honest with you. I couldn't care if he goes down to fucking League 2. Just get him out of my club. As for form, honestly, thank you very much for what you've done at Tottenham. But again, the last 3.5 years, couldn't give a shit what sort of form you find. I just want him gone now, to be honest with you. He's pissing me off. Let's not forget, You know, we had Jose Mourinho. He was on Instagram doing touch your hat if you want Mourinho out and stuff like that. You know, Mourinho left. Could he still get into the Tottenham team? No. He just uses everybody's excuses rather than look on himself. And I've had enough. Get the fucking walking Crayola out of my club. I'm not having it anymore. William Kelly with the super chat, big up. He says Celtic would be good for Delhi. Do you know what, William? Actually would be a good destination. But I don't want him to ruin my second team. So, to be honest with you, I don't want him to go to Celtic. Look, I like Celtic. Of course, the Irish connection, William. You know, it's the Catholic club of Scotland. It would be a good loan move for him to be fair. It actually would be. He'd work out well there. He would rediscover his form. But do we really want him to go out and rediscover his form and then bring him back into a team that he's helped disrupt? For me, I think there's been too much water under the bridge. I just don't want him here anymore. I don't even want him loaned out. If we could sell him ideal. For me, because he's been missing the last 3.5 years, I'd be instructing his agent, you find a loan to buy with an obligation to buy, or you're not going anywhere and you can rot here for the next 6 months. You got to start sending out messages to these guys. You can't just take Tottenham Hotspur as a cash cow. You can't do it. And then we're going to be nice to you and let you go and loan out and put yourself in the window before the World Cup and everything else. No, fuck that, man. I'm not up for that. So for me, unless their agent is instructed for a loan to buy with an obligation to buy, leave him rot. He absolutely deserves it. But big up William Kelly, my man. I really do appreciate the support. And look, maybe the last bit of news we will get onto, and it is Diego Carlos. Now, this is a player we were heavily linked with this window. He is a centre-back from Sevilla. He's a player Newcastle have had several bids knocked back for this January. With Romano also tweeting, Sevilla have no intention to sell Brazilian centre-back in the closing days of the January transfer window. But here's the twist. We think he is not available, but we hold a trump card, if you like, ace card, whatever you want to call it. If reports circulating today are true, suggesting that Sevilla are keen on bringing Celso back to La Liga before the end of the month, there were some reports today saying Spurs were trying to offer a swap deal with Celso plus cash for Carlos. Jack, do you think this is a deal that could happen, or do you think it's complete and utter bollocks with Fabrizio Romano's tweet saying they don't look like they want to sell him?
Yeah, I've seen the rumors from Fabrizio saying they just seem like they don't want to sell him. I think when Fabrizio says that, Dave, and kind of confirms it, it kind of feels like then that does mean he's not going to be sold. Kind of end of. It was a good way to go about it, though, Dave, to be fair. Like, give Gio to Sevilla, get Diego Carlos in return, maybe not have to pay nearly as much, you know, as well. Let's say we paid like 10 million, 15 million. That might not have been a bad sort of deal when you do think about it that way. If we still had to pay like 20 or 30 million, I think that would have been a terrible deal. But let's say we only had to pay 10 or 15 million, give Gio over to Sevilla for like a loan option to buy. I think that would not be a bad sort of deal because we need a center back more than we really need a creative midfielder like Gio. So that wouldn't have been a bad choice. Diego Carlos, though, Dave, I'm not a fan of. I think he just makes way too many errors. Even just in terms of his stats, he has like a lot of errors so far. Even this season, he had a lot of errors in that Europa League campaign, even though, to be fair to him, he won the Europa League during that sort of campaign. In those knockout rounds, he made a lot of mistakes in that knockout round sort of time. I'm not a big fan of his. I don't want him, but I don't know. It seems like it's not going to happen. And, you know, which is maybe good at the end of the day.
No, look, my feelings on it is that it won't happen. I think, look, in order if this deal does go ahead, I think you're waiting for Sevilla to come and approach us for Celso rather than us approach them for Diego Carlos. But look, there you have it, guys. That is the roundup of all today's transfer news. I mean, I did say there was a hell of a lot to get through. But before we go, take the super chat from William Kelly and also let Jack plug where you can find him because he's done a magnificent video and highlight reels on Safian, Sofan, Amrabat. So we'll let Jack talk about that. But just quickly, William Kelly says, I love Celtic too. I think Ange would get him firing in Scotland. Do you know what? 100%. I really do think he'd get him firing in Scotland, to be honest with you, with him. I have no doubt he would. But my point is, I'm not going to loan him where it suits, because for his benefit, I'll be honest with you. I don't care whether he turns it around wherever he goes to. I just want him gone. I can't put up with players that don't want to win trophies. I can't put up with players that are sitting there that have scored winners against Chelsea in the past, but sitting there on TikTok, taking the piss, rather than sitting there going, why am I out there helping my teammates when they're losing? I could be the one to change that game. Honestly, I couldn't give two fucks about the guy anymore. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I was Dele Alli's biggest fan. I fucking love the guy. But what he's done for the last 3.5 years, I can't condone. You're talking, he a big reason why Jose Mourinho went. Constantly bitching and moaning. Loads of stuff outside football, always in the papers, never on the football pitch. Couldn't give a fuck about Dele Alli anymore. I'm at the point now where players like this have ripped my club from underneath me. Completely pulled my club from underneath me to a point where it's barely unrecognizable. And yes, we all blame the chairman, 100%. I mean, he's the go-to. He's the massive part of the problem. But you can't also neglect these parts of the problem. People that are on the pitch and can do something about it, that can restore Tottenham Hotspur back to the great club it is. And this guy doesn't want to do anything about it. So I really couldn't, honestly with him, I love you, but I couldn't give a fuck about Dele Alli firing for him again. I just want him gone. I don't care where he goes. We could ship him off to the Montenegro League. I do not care. I just want the guy gone. But big up with him, my man. Really appreciate the support. Everybody, just why Jack is plugging the channel. If you have enjoyed the stream and you do want to show your appreciation, just send in a super chat. It doesn't matter how big or small, it's all a massive help towards myself and Jack, and it is greatly appreciated. But Jack, where can people find you, my man, and what are they looking for?
I mean, everybody's talking about all the players we're sort of rumored with. A lot of us, I feel like, to be fair, probably don't really exactly know what that sort of player could bring to Spurs, who that player even is, what can they, kind of offer to Antonio Conte. All the sort of questions can be answered over on the second channel of flatcapeurotalk. I just did a scout report on Sofiane Amrabat. I compared all of his stats from his best season at Hellas Verona to Højbjerg's first season with us at Spurs. I kind of give you an inkling on what sort of things he could bring to Spurs. I kind of give you, as you probably already know, not excited by the signing, but I do give you my thoughts on maybe what sort of signing he could be for Spurs, whether he'd be worth it, what could he actually do, maybe that other players couldn't do in our squad. Basically break it all down, explain who he is over at that channel. I'm going to be doing the same thing when it comes to Luis Diaz tomorrow. I'm going to be doing a Luis Diaz scout report. I'm going to be doing the same thing as well with that Mohamed Ali Cho, that guy from Angers, that French striker that we're rumored with. I'm going to basically be breaking down and explaining all the sort of players that we're rumored with. If you want to kind of get more of a background, more of kind of an inclination on who actually Spurs are going after and what they could actually bring to Spurs, head on over to the second channel, please.
No, 100%. And Jack, just drop the link in there again at the bottom of the chat. But guys, the link is here in the chat. Please click on it, get over there, smash the subscribe button. But most importantly, what you are looking for is the latest video on the channel where Jack goes through everything about Sofiane Amrabat. It'd be an absolute great watch. It's a short watch as well. It's 15 minutes at most, usually 20 minutes at most. Very good watch. Jack tells you everything you need to know and then highlight reels at the end. Make sure you get over and check it out. And like you said, Luis Diaz coming tomorrow as well. So it's absolutely your Bible for these last few days. Any players Spurs are linked with, Jack will be doing a scout report on. So just get over there, smash that subscribe button, smash the notification bell as well, so you know as soon as it's uploaded. But guys, I want to say a massive thank you to everybody out there who has tuned into the channel today. Over 600 for most of the stream. Absolutely incredible numbers. I really do appreciate everybody tuning in. A massive thank you to everybody, all the new subscribers. A massive thank you to everybody who has smashed the like on the video. And a massive thank you to everybody for the super chats, for the financial support. You honestly, me and Jack just have dreams of taking over, Tottenham YouTube. We really would love to get into a studio. Look, obviously there's some big channels out there. Maybe we're the best of the rest. That's what I like to think. So, I do want to get up to where the big channels are with the studios. We don't have any big sponsorship guys or or anyone behind us, really. We just solely rely on the donations, so you have no idea how much it really, really does help us out, and a massive thank you. But most importantly, guys, as always, keep supporting this club, keep loving Tottenham. Make sure you smash the like, smash the subscribe, put your comments in underneath. You know, if anything else you want to talk, you want us to touch on, any links, any players you want to touch on that we are linked with tomorrow on the next transfer show, just put them in below. But as always, come on, you Spurs. In Conte we trust.
In Conte we trust. Levy, shake the wallet.
Yeah, Levy, open that wallet and fucking let some money fall out. Tight wad.